The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
All right, this is Juice Robinson, and you're listening to Keepin It Strong Style. You better keep listening. We're at WrestleCon having a blast.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here alongside the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll be previewing the remaining Road to Wrestling Dontaku shows, Wrestling Hi No Kuni, Wrestling Dontaku, answering all your questions from the mailbag, as well as covering all the latest news in the world of New Japan Wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Keeping It Strong Style is one of the many shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Make sure you support our show and the network by subscribing on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. We're pretty much on every podcast app out there. Just search Social Suplex Podcast Network and you'll find our show along with all the other great programs we have here on the network. You can also get all the podcasts and our columns at socialsuplex.com. Go to socialsuplex.com/subscribe to sign up to get the podcast and columns delivered directly to your email inbox. And also want to give a quick shout out once again to Puroresu Road, who has started to feature Keeping It Strong Style on their site.
Yeah, I got a chance to kind of post about that on the Reddit and got some, pretty good feedback. So I'm excited to be partner with those guys.
Yeah, they also have a lot of great columns out there too on New Japan. So if you just love New Japan or new to New Japan, the
All Japan articles are really good.
Yeah, if you just love Puroresu in general, they're pretty much covering it all with the columns. So
yeah, with the Champions Carnival that's going on and everything like that right now. So definitely check those guys out. And depending on I'm not sure what your level of fandom is or participation in the wrestling industry, but I do see that they're looking for contributors for different positions right now to kind of join with that community. So if you write or you podcast or whatever it is that you do, if that happens to be a talent that you're partaking in and you're a fan of Japanese wrestling, definitely hit those guys up. It might be worth your while. Who knows?
Yeah, puroresuroad.com. Check them out. So we have lots to cover this week. We're gonna start off by previewing some of the big matches that are coming up this week. By the time you're listening to this episode, the Road to show from April 23rd and April 24th will have already happened. We're still going to give our previews. I've kind of already saw the results from April 23rd, so I'm not going to be able to chime in on the prediction for that match, but everything else...
It's fine, because there's really only one noteworthy match on that card that's worth mentioning, and I have a feeling how I feel like it probably is going to end up going, so It's not too bad. The thing is... you guys are lucky because I could be on the couch right now watching the April 23rd Corkin, house show, but instead I'm giving back to this business
that we love.
No, but yeah, we're excited for this week's show. I'm excited to get into it, and we got a lot of things to cover, man.
Yeah, so let's get started. So on April 23rd, there was
Let me start off by saying this. There's a lot of matches that are occurring on all these different cards that we're talking about, but if we're not talking about them, it is literally because they happen. like
over and over again, again, and again.
And a lot of them are continuations of the matches that we previewed or that we reviewed last week on the first two Road to shows, Road to Dontaku. So, with that being said, like, it would take a lot of time, which we're not here to waste your guys' time, and it would take a lot of, I don't know, it'd be just repetitive. Like,
right, yeah.
I'd start to want to pull my eyes out of my head if we had to cover like Sho and Yo
against Suzuki Gun again. Oh my God.
Yeah, because listeners, that's one thing that, remember, I don't know if you listened last week, but I freaking flamed the crap out of the Azuka match. And they're doing that match every single night
of this tour, man.
Of the entire tour through all the way till the early part of May. Like,
all I want to know is who did Roppongi 3K piss off?
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. So we're not covering every single match. We're going to cover the title matches and the singles matches that we think are noteworthy, and just kind of go from there.
All right, so on April 23rd, there was a junior heavyweight tag title match. Will be.
Because I haven't seen it yet. So for me, it's still yet to occur. Anything can happen.
Bushi and I'm blanking. Takahashi. I can't believe I'm blanking his name. Bushi and Hiromu Takahashi.
LIJ.
Challenging against Desperado and Kanemaru from Suzuki Gun for the junior tag titles. I already know what happens here. Josh, what do you think's going to happen here?
Well, something we can talk about. Let's talk about the history, how we got to this point. So, we started off the early part of the year with Roppongi 3K kind of picking the titles up off of the Young Bucks and sending them up into the heavyweight tag division. And we all kind of thought like Roppongi 3K was poised for a longer title reign. But that led us into, what was it, New Beginning?
Yep.
And they did the three-way title match between LIJ, Suzuki Gun, and Roppongi 3K.
Well, even before that, I think on a Road 2 show, Kanemaru and Desperado picked up a non-title win over Roppongi 3K.
They cheated. They used the chairs. They attacked, I think it was Yo's back at the time. Or maybe it was Sho. It was Sho.
Yeah.
Because they alternated. First Yo's back was hurt, then Sho's back.
Yeah.
So, and then they picked up the non-title win, so you kind of thought we were setting up a program between Suzuki Gun and Roppongi 3K, but then somehow LIJ got added to the mix, and we ended up with the three-way, and we were all kind of dreading it. And then, through the course of a somewhat wild match, Suzuki Gun ended up out-cheating everybody else and lifted the tag titles somewhat unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So that led to a return match last month, I think, at Sakura Genesis.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking they were dropping the titles.
I thought they were going to drop the titles there too.
I thought they were going to hot potato these bad boys, but they didn't end up doing that. And somehow, some way, still not sure, but LIJ ended up being the ones who got the title shot out of that, as opposed to Roppongi 3K, the former champions.
Right. They haven't even got a fair.
They haven't had a straight one-on-one tag match for as a return. So. I don't know. I guess they haven't they didn't come out and point to a sign or anything. So, but so somehow I think it's just that this is a continuation, and you'll see this theme throughout the night. But Suzuki Gun is currently feuding with LIJ, so I think that's why this is where it is. It kind of fits the mold. So for the time being, they put Roppongi 3K on the back burner. They're doing 6-man tags with Rocky. Whereas LIJ, the junior team of Bushi and Takahashi are getting a title shot here. So, obviously you already know who won, but what were your expectations? And you haven't seen the match yet. So.
No, I have not seen the match. I'm hoping for a decent match. We know that Takahashi is probably the best worker out of the four. Bushi's pretty good. Desperado, I feel like I haven't seen enough of Desperado in one-on-one situations to see how he really shakes out with Takahashi and Bushi.
Right.
And then Kanemaru, I know he used to be like an ace junior in Noah. But since being in No Japan, he's a little bit older. He's not as crisp as he used to be. So.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're definitely right there. So, I'm not nothing between these two teams has indicated to me that they're lighting the world on fire when it comes to
They just don't seem to have a great chemistry. Yeah. It's almost like they're kind of forcing to have a good match when they're in there, and then it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, it is, all these teams, and not taking anything away from Roppongi 3K or the junior teams of LIJ or Suzuki-gun, but I mean, it's a tough road. Like, those are tough shoes to fill when, like, you're following in the footsteps of the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Who, like, dominated the division for so many years. And then you look at the other teams that came before them. I mean, you got, like, the Time Splitters, you got Red Dragon, you got,
Roppongi
Vice. Even like Funky Future last year, like, so, all like really, really dynamic teams who these teams have the ability to go that way, but for whatever reason, they haven't really seemed to work any matches so far in this whole mini feud.
Right.
That would lead us to would indicate to me that they're going to like tear the roof off. And the other thing too is Suzuki-gun is so, I don't know, they're so fixated on this like style of working that they do that it does sometimes hamper their ability to have great matches, which they might even have some of the best. Like, I've heard a lot of other shows and other people that love the Suzuki-gun Junior guys, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't think they're talented. I just, the style that they end up working with the cheating, it's just excessive. It's an excessive amount. It's like almost, and I've said it before, it gets lazy, the reliance on those different tropes as opposed to peppering them in when they matter and making it mean something. And then the other thing too is we haven't seen a lot of Bushi and Takahashi teaming together in the past.
Yeah.
Even though they're on the same team.
It's usually, just multi-mans. Yeah.
I mean, they teamed in the Junior Tag League last year, and that was cool, but I think they ended up losing to Roppongi 3K. So I'm going to say, I think that at this point, you could go LIJ. You could. But I don't know why you would. I don't know. I don't really want to see. I guess it would be nice to see Takahashi and Bushi have the straps, but they don't really need it. And I've always assumed Takahashi was more of a singles guy.
Right. And I feel like they just need something to do to keep him away from the junior heavyweight title picture. But let's keep him busy in the tag title picture until we're ready to, heat him up to, be a number one contender again. Yeah,
I agree. And at the same time, like, Kanemaru and Desperado kind of need this in a way, like more so than the other guys do. And I feel like there is unfinished business between the Suzuki-gun guys and Roppongi 3K. And it wouldn't make, you could, if you put the belts in LIJ, cool, whatever, but that's just more of the terrible booking that we've seen in the past when it comes to these junior titles.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the right way to go. I say keep it on Suzuki-gun, and hopefully by Dominion, we have something going between Roppongi 3K and them again, or maybe there's another junior tag title, contender that will emerge out of the pack. I don't know. So I'm going to assume Suzuki-gun cheats pretty badly to get the win here and, upset the Corking crowd. So, I don't know. As far as like match rating, this would probably be like, I'm going to say 3.5.
Yeah, I would say 3.
Yeah, I'm not expecting like them to. Now it is the main event though, so they'll get some time, and hopefully they do something with it. So that's why I'm kind of going. I'm trying to be a little optimistic here and go 3.5. But I can't say that through the build here that I feel like this has been something I've been really looking forward to or anything like that.
Right.
I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, honestly, I'm ready for Hiromu to be back in a singles action.
I was more excited about the 10-man tag elimination main events from the last two shows that we watched than this, and it's a title match. So that kind of shows you, and I'm not like a pessimistic fan either. Like I generally, like, I enjoy all the main events that New Japan puts on, but it's just the way they've kind of mishandled the booking of this.
Yeah,
maybe they haven't mishandled it. I don't know. Maybe it's just sour grapes. Maybe I'm complaining. I don't know. It just seemed like they should have kept the titles on Roppongi 3K.
Yeah, and we've mentioned this before on previous shows about how much they've built Roppongi 3K. They like cleaned house in the junior tag tournament, beating the Young Bucks. Like, they were supposed to be the premier team I guess the problem is there's not that many junior teams in New Japan right now, so they kind of had to like flop the belts around a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean that's a good explanation. So I mean I could see that going there. Final thoughts. Hopefully this like delivers. I mean we're getting ready to go into the Best of the Super Juniors next month, and maybe this will blossom into something out of that. I don't know.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
So next up, April 24th Road 2 show. We have Hanare versus Ishii.
Yeah,
Dude.
so the news dropped just last week that all of a sudden a show that looked like just a pretty normal kind of like lackluster Road to show was suddenly like I don't know, all of a sudden it was set with like one of the singles matches that we talked about just last week.
Yeah.
And we were like, when is this going to pop
we're like,
off?
man, we're ready to see this Hanare Ishii one-on-one match.
Yo, someone in the office was listening to the show.
Well, you know, our good friend Rocky Romero, you know, he's working in the office there, and so he was probably listening to Keeping It Strong Style.
I think Hanare was listening. I think Toa Hanare was listening to the show.
He's like, I'm gonna prove these boys wrong that I could beat Ishii.
So they were talking about like the building rivalry between these two guys and how, you know, since like December, every single match they've been in, they just kill each other, and it's been great.
Yeah.
But I guess after the April 17th and April 18th, Road 2 shows that were non-televised, he came out and attacked Ishii like 2 nights in a row. And I don't know if he kept doing it, but yeah, like 2 nights in a row, he attacked Ishii and like left him laying after because Ishii was tagging with Toru Yano. And I guess they were winning matches, but then he was getting attacked afterwards by Hanare.
Yeah, Hanare put him in the jump zone.
Yeah, and they said that he was using the Tower Bottom. So I'm guessing that's probably his Samoan drop.
Unless he's doing the Rock Bottom.
I thought about that because there's no video of what he did to him. They just called it the Toa Bottom, and I was like, the Toa, is he freaking rock bottom out here? Yo, I swear to God, like, remember we also said last week he needs a new finisher?
Dude, if he starts doing the Rock Bottom, I will die.
I'll mark out if he starts using the Rock Bottom, because, like, who's used the Rock Bottom since The Rock left?
Well, I mean, you got guys that do, like, Uranagi's.
Nobody does the Rock Bottom,
right?
Though. Like, the actual, like,
yeah.
That would be so dope.
Dude.
But we're getting ourselves worked up. We know deep down it's probably just that freaking
Samoan drop. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Hanare is like listening to the show and he heard like our request. We're the voice of the voiceless. We speak for the people, and we told him like, hey, this guy's got to do something. It's time. We're ready. And he said, you know what? All right. And he took the orders. He attacked Ishii, pissed Ishii off enough to demand a singles match, which if you guys have been listening to, or not listening to it, watching New Japan for any length of time, you know how rare singles matches can be. So this is a special singles match, and they are gonna run it.
Dude, I think this is gonna be the breakout moment here for Hanare.
Well, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a huge opportunity because, like, with Ishii, I mean, it's not like, yeah, it's an opportunity. I mean, but that guy's had he's had world title matches. He's been all up and down the card, G1 matches. I mean, it's not his first rodeo.
Right, and he is the current British heavyweight champion.
Rev Pro, the undisputed Rev Pro.
So Hanare could, if he pulls it out here, he could get himself a title shot.
Hanare better not pull it out. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Like, it kind of came from out of nowhere. I guess not out of nowhere because they've been building to it, but suddenly it wasn't on the card. It wasn't on the card, and then suddenly it was with like very, very like a small amount of time before the actual announcement was made, before it's actually happening. So that's going to be happening like this morning.
Yeah. So yeah, it happened this morning. So by the time you hear this episode, match would have already happened. So.
Yeah. So I mean, what are your expectations, man?
Dude, I expect this to be a candidate for Strong Style Match of the Year.
Bro, me too.
These guys, they're going to go at it. They're going to slug at each other, man. They're going to go back and forth. We've already seen what they do in the multi-man matches. This is going to be all out them. Who can hit who harder? Who has the stronger headbutts? It's going to be all out. I'm expecting an all-out war, and eventually. Hanare cannot hang with Ishii, and then Ishii will brainbuster this man.
That's exactly the way that I see it going. I was hoping that you would like get optimistic and you guys should see Jeremy's face right now. I was hoping you get suckered in, like
No.
bro, it's New Japan. Anything can happen.
It's
dude.
true, but I will be highly surprised if the Toa bottom puts away Ishii.
He attacked Ishii twice in a row, and I mean, dude, there's been so many times this year where we thought Ishii was gonna go one way, and then they ended up doing a totally different thing. I mean,
yeah.
And here's another thing you gotta keep in mind. Yes, he's the Rev Pro champion, and yes, New Japan had to sign off on it, but it's not like New Japan booked him into that. That was Rev Pro.
Yeah.
That was Western. I mean, even though like it's Europe, but I mean that to the east, that's still like Western based. They speak English over there. And obviously it's England. Shout out to the motherland. But I mean, obviously we have a different kind of view of Ishii than maybe we've talked about this before than the Japanese fans. So, I mean, could New Japan like essentially put Hanare over Ishii? They could.
I'm
trying to talk you into it.
as Vince McMahon says, anything can happen.
Who's that? Vince McMahon Sr. Yeah, the promoter of the New York territory.
I was talking about Junior.
I don't know that jabroni. Anyway,
so I'm expecting Hanare goes for the Samoan drop. Ishii slides from behind, turns him around, brainbuster.
I am expecting violence. Yeah. Hopefully it's contained and hopefully these guys work safely, but at the same time, it's going to be really, 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 really hard hitting. So
I'm telling you, this is a strong style match of the year candidate,
bro.
Written all over it.
It's been a couple. All these different shows just happened a few last month. So I mean, but since the New Japan Cup, this might be like my most anticipated match out of nowhere. Oh man. It's got a special feeling.
It's got a big fight feel.
They're fighting in Corkin. That crowd's going to be hot. They always are. Like, I think Ishii's going to pull it out, but I think that this could really be a star-making performance for Hanare. So, I mean, we're both going Ishii on this one?
Yep.
Okay. Ishii, Brainbuster, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That's what I think, too. So, the next match on this April 24th Road 2 show that we're covering is the main event, which is going to be, I almost said Fit, David Finlay taking on Switchblade. I said it right. Switchblade Jay White for the New Japan for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. So let's talk about this. The build, the backstory, and what where we see this going.
Right. So these guys, they are both in the same Young Lion class. Kind of became best friends. They teamed a lot. And then Jay White went on excursion over to Ring of Honor. Came back, became re-debuted as Switchblade Jay White. Had a match with Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom. Then he ends up defeating Kenny Omega for the U.S. title. And, David Finlay, on the other hand, has just been kind of the opposite trajectory, just doing multi-man matches, teaming with Taguchi Japan guys, teaming with his new best friend Juice Robinson, kind of really doing nothing special. And even at one point, there was already a Road 2 show, it was a non-title match in Kirkin where these guys faced off and Jay White won again.
Yeah, I think that was Road to New Beginning.
Yeah, and so I believe that was probably like their 9th or 10th match against each other, and Finlay has only won one match against Jay White.
Yeah, I'm trying to look back and see how many times they've wrestled. Mm-hmm. It is something like 11 matches or something like that.
Yeah.
And apparently, if I'm remembering it correctly, and if we're incorrect, you can correct us on this, listeners. But yeah, I think the deal is basically that Dave Finlay won like their first match.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Finlay won the first match, and then ever since then, it's been Jay White whooping that ass.
Yeah. Yeah. So this has been going on for a long time, and it's like two different foils or two different sides of like a coin, you know, and you have, you know, this dichotomy of two different characters, and Jay White, who kind of has been afforded the opportunities upon his return to get these title shots and work with these big names, and whereas, you know, Finley's kind of he never did go on an excursion, and at this point it looks like he probably will not be. And he stayed there, and you kind of thought maybe that would open up opportunities. But every time that an opportunity, not that he didn't deliver, but like they didn't seem to know what to do with him, like booking wise, and maybe he himself as a character didn't know how to find himself.
Right. And
so now we're at a point where these guys, ever since Jay White returned, they had the match basically in Cork earlier in the year. Great match. And during that match, there was a story where essentially like Dave Finlay had an opportunity to kind of like take Jay White's head off with the chair shot.
He backed off.
He backed off, and he like kind of didn't go to that dark place that maybe he needed to. And Jay White ended up exploiting that and getting the W. And I've talked several times on the show how I still think that was a little bit of an underrated match. I thought it delivered. That was actually the free match of the week last week.
Yeah.
And so if you were on YouTube or if you have a New Japan World subscription, you had an opportunity to kind of check that out for free. If you have a subscription in New Japan World, you can just watch it, and I would highly recommend it. That being said, Dave Finlay, when did he first re-attack Jay White? Was it at it was at the US show?
Strong Style Evolved.
Style Evolved.
Mm-hmm. That's where he made the challenge.
Yeah, so
he jumped him after the match and was challenging him laid out the challenge for the US title.
So far this has been like, I think, a really good program and a really good feud, because it's the most sustained heat that Jay White has really had with another like performer.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that the feud with Kenny or the feud with Tanahashi like tended to have this like deep backstory and long-term storytelling, you know what I mean? And also it's something where it's not just or even the one with Adam Page, it's also not something that is just one-sided where it's like, all right, let's see what Jay can do against these, you know, established guys. It's giving Dave Finlay also the opportunity as a young, hungry guy to kind of step out of the expectations and kind of the role that we've seen him in over the last few years and kind of make a name for himself as well.
Right. And I don't know. I've been thinking about this prediction for a while because, you know, you would think that the obvious thing would be Jay White goes over again. But I mean, I don't know. There's a small part of me that's thinking that Finlay could possibly pull up an upset victory. I mean, you think back to Jay White versus Kenny Omega, majority of people thought, you know, Jay White had no chance of walking out of that title match against Kenny Omega as the new champion. So,
I mean, I was one of them too. I thought like he wasn't in a position where he should be beating Kenny Omega, especially after losing a title shot just a month prior to that.
And Kenny had that classic with Jericho.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, you could kind of, if hindsight's 2020, but we also did talk about at the time, we're like, hey, Jay needs the win. Like he needs the win. And we're like, I can't see him beating Kenny, but or being the champion, but he needs the win. And that ultimately ended up proving to be true because that's what they ended up doing. They found a way to switch the title.
Well, I feel David Finlay is almost in the same position now. Like I feel like he really needs this win against Jay White.
Do you think he could carry that belt?
I don't know. That's the problem. He needs to win, but I have a hard time picturing him as U.S. champion.
I mean, they're not done with Jay White or anything, but you've heard a lot of criticisms. A lot of people say negative things. Shout out to Rich. Shout out to just the Reddit like universe in general. But yeah. I do feel like over time people have warmed up to Switchblade. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the straight up negative side of things that you first saw when he was wrestling Tanahashi in the Tokyo Dome. Do you think it would add to him as a character, like add a new layer if he were to get bested by Finlay in this case?
I mean, it could expose, you know, him being overconfident, and I think it's a story to tell maybe you set that same scenario where David Finlay has the opportunity to do something that he probably normally wouldn't do, and he actually goes through with it, and Jay doesn't think he's going to, but Finlay actually does, and that pushes Finlay to the edge and gives him the victory. Or maybe Finlay is just so filled with rage, maybe they even do like a DQ finish so they could do like another match in the future.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's not outside of the realm of the booking possibilities with New Japan. I mean, we've seen other feuds in the past where they've done that to try to prolong the feud.
Or they can do a draw.
What, 15-minute draw? Oh, well, they have a 30-minute time limit, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're the main event, so I'm assuming they're getting a 30-minute time limit. They could do a 30-minute draw.
Yeah, I'm not so sure they're gonna go with a non-finish though. Ultimately, like what I think will probably happen is a lot of times in New Japan, yes, you do want to try to expect the unexpected, but sometimes the most expected thing is exactly what's gonna happen. Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, like, there is this part of me that's like, yeah, Jay, go, Jay. Like, you can do it. But then there's the other part of me. It's like, you know what? I don't know. Jay might not be, or I'm sorry.
You talking about go Finlay?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm just tired, dude. Long day at work. Yeah, there's a part of me that's like, go, Dave. Like, it's your time. Like, let's capitalize. I think we talked about how we want to see big things from him, but the way that New Japan booking is, like, they book heartaches, they book heartbreaks, and I think he's gonna be looking up at the lights when it's all said and done.
Yeah, if I was gonna bet money on this, which I wouldn't.
Why? You won't bet on a predetermined sport?
No.
What's wrong with you? Why? It's a sure thing.
If I was gonna do that, I would need Ghetto's phone number.
That's the thing. I feel like with the way that, like, White, the only thing is, let's think about this. Where does White go from here? Like, let's say hypothetically White wins, right?
Right.
Who's next?
Well, I'm assuming somebody will come out after the match to challenge him.
I mean, yeah, it could. I mean, I guess in theory be anybody, but Finlay is Sekigun and White's Chaos. We've had a lot of Chaos versus Sekigun on this tour. I mean, I haven't seen anything in the promos or anything in, like, the lead up to indicate to me that they're going in a different direction. So I think there might be something to that idea that you had where there either is a return match or some sort of non-finish. This is a tough one to call.
Yeah.
This might be the toughest one for me, like, to feel confident about out of all the different matches. What are you going? You're going White?
Yep, I'm going Jay White.
I'm going to go Dave Finlay. And I know I just sat here and talked about the usual New Japan booking. It's just, here's my thing. I feel like with Finlay, you can, like, maybe prolong this and do something else on the next tour.
Yeah.
Whereas, and maybe I'm wrong, if White beats him, I just don't know who's next. I just don't know where they would go from there.
All right. I mean, there's plenty of guys.
There are.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be anybody, but there's so much heat and history between White and Finlay, and they're getting an opportunity to, like, main event a Corkin show again with the title on the line. I mean, that is one thing, bro. Think about that. Like, 2 years ago, the idea that Jay White and Dave Finlay would be wrestling for a title at Corkin in a main event.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like, you would never have thought that this would have happened this quickly.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that this feud continues. And I mean, there is the poetic side to me that's like, Finlay should keep losing on some Tommy Dreamer, like, Raven type stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go Finlay on this one because I just feel like maybe New Japan might pull the upset on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pull the unexpected. I think you sold me a little bit on that. So I'll take Finlay.
All right. I'm sticking with the smart money and going Jay White.
Okay.
All right. So next up we have Road to Show.
April 27th from Hiroshima.
Yeah. So we have a never open weight title match with Hiroki Goto defending against our good friend Juice Robinson.
Yeah. So this is one that's been building for quite a while. We've talked about it in the past. Juice wrestled Goto for the Never title last year. since that time where he came up short, he has progressed. I mean, he's had a really interesting story arc here in New Japan ever since that time. And with this last couple performances that he had during the New Japan Cup, it seemed like he's ascended to even like a newer like a higher new level with the standings in New Japan. I think we even had a question last week where someone was like, do they have faith in Juice? So I mean, it seems like they do. And then Goto's kind of been interesting where he's had a couple title matches, but he really has done almost nothing.
To be honest, I have not been interested in Goto since Wrestle Kingdom.
Even before Wrestle Kingdom, I was like, up until that match happened, I was like, why are they doing this match?
Yeah, same here.
And I was like, we already seen this match a bunch of times, and we wanted Ishii in that title spot because we were like, how much better would Ishii and Suzuki be? And as good as that match is, I kind of do think Suzuki and Ishii would have a better match. But yeah, he had that great match. Awesome Wrestle Kingdom moment. He won the belt. Suzuki somehow got elevated off of losing the title to Goto.
And it feels like Goto's been, declined.
He hasn't done it much. Yeah. He had a title defense against Beer City Bruiser. He had a one against Evil that we were very excited about, and it totally underperformed.
Underdelivered.
I think this is his third title defense since then.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a while back. Like, that was the Ring of Honor show that they did in Japan, the
Honor Rising. That was the
Beer City Bruiser
match. Yeah.
So he hasn't even defended the title since then. So I mean, here we are now, and this is going to be the semi-main event with Juice getting his long-awaited shot. These guys have been wrestling each other in multi-man matches for like a month or so now, and it seemed almost every time that they wrestled like Juice is the one that's getting
the better hand. I mean, he pinned him one night. He hit the Pulp Friction.
Yeah, I don't think... Well, if Goto has pinned him, it hasn't been on TV or anything like that. And I mean, Juice's side has come up on the losing side a couple times, but like it's not like Goto's out there like beating Juice every time they meet up.
If Juice ends up having the upper hand in most of their exchanges.
So what are you thinking here? What are your expectations for this match? I know you've been looking forward to it for a while.
So I think this will actually be a very hard-hitting match. I think the whole story here, Juice is going to prove that he has improved since the past year from the first time they had his title match. So I'm going with our good friend Juice Robinson to pull this out and to win his first title in New Japan.
Yeah, that would be, bro, how awesome would it be if Juice and Finlay both held titles?
I'm going to mark so much if Juice wins this match.
Goto is a guy that gets criticism from fans, and it seems like his career's been just up and down ever since I've watched New Japan wrestling. But he is a guy that consistently can deliver when he wants to. Lately, for whatever reason, he seemed somewhat maybe uninspired, or maybe it's the booking, I don't know. But I'm hoping that this is a match that kind of wakes up that fighting spirit and that fire in him and makes him really want to like perform. Because, dude, like G1's right around the corner. And I mean, I don't know. I like where Goto is in the company. It seemed like he's just been declining as far as like his standing. And maybe that's not totally true because they still tend to book him pretty strong. But the interest in him, I mean, it's not like when he comes out, he's getting these loud pops.
And on the other hand, I mean, Juice has been picking up wins. Yep. He's been getting loud pops. I mean, he's universally loved. Yeah,
absolutely. I 100% agree with that. So my whole thing is with Juice, as much as he is loved and as much as he's like getting, notoriety in a more prominent position, he also has this story of failing. So I mean, he got a never title shot. He failed New Japan Cup for first year. He had a good run. That was last year. Failed there. Then he
had his first G1.
Yeah, had his first G1. Failed there. He got a U.S. title shot. He got an IC title shot. Failed both of those. So he had 3 title shots last year when most people don't even have one. You know? And then coming into this year, and then the tag titles or the World Tag League, came up short there, just barely.
Juice,
This year, like he did really well in the New Japan Cup, and he came up short. So it's been like you can see him getting further and further and progressing more and more each time and getting closer. But it seems like the goal's always been out of his reach a little bit. So I am wondering if they're going to continue that here. Mm-hmm. But I think we've both kind of expressed this. I think if you're going to pull the trigger on this guy and you want to make him, now's the time to do it. Like, I feel much more confident that this is the right time. And there's very, very many times when I'm like, it should be the right time, but they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like the way that I was with Naito during Wrestle Kingdom, where everyone was like, it's time. And I was like, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
This really actually feels like they need to do it. Like, Goto's he's had a nice little title run, but that title has seemed so unimportant this whole year. And I think Juice will elevate it, and it would breathe like new life into the title scene, and the stories that they can produce with Juice. There's more things that you can do right now with him than maybe Goto, because Goto's had so many different feuds with so many guys, and I think it's the time.
Yeah,
I think it's the time. I'll be disappointed if they don't go with Juice in this one.
Same here.
So we're all in, brother.
All in on Juice. So the main event of the evening will be Hiroshi Tanahashi teaming up with Kushida to take on Will Ospreay and Okada.
So we can kind of discuss this one, because this is actually a match that they're going to be running not just on this night, but also during Wrestling Dontaku on May 3rd. And I know at the beginning of the show I mentioned how we weren't going to be covering too many matches that reoccur, but this one actually is somewhat like the fact that they're running it twice in a row is kind of important, because this is building off the two main title matches that will headline on May 4th with Dontaku and Fukuoka. So Okada versus Tanahashi and Ospreay versus Kushida. And we'll kind of discuss those individual matches a little bit more here. But as far as just like a match perspective, what are you expecting? How would you book this, seeing that they're going to be wrestling one another on the 27th Road 2 show, as well as the May 3rd Dontaku, the first night?
So I think you might want to give one or either both Kushida and Tanahashi some wins here going into these title matches to kind of put some doubt in your mind whether Ospreay and Okada we're going to retain. I definitely think Kushida should pick up a win on Ospreay in one of these matches, just because Kushida's been kind of the back burner majority this year since after Wrestle Kingdom. And, the whole story here, Ospreay wants to prove that he can beat Kushida, that the first time wasn't a fluke. So you have Kushida pick up a win here in one of these multi-man matches, and then that kind of gives that doubt, like maybe the first time was a fluke. Ospreay can't beat Kushida again. Then you go into the title match, and then potentially you have Ospreay beat Kushida.
That's one way you could go. Another way that you could go is have Okada win both of them. And just
beat everybody.
Yeah, he beats everybody. Just puts everybody in the freaking billion yen dream. And just chokes out Tanahashi, chokes out Kushida, and FTW. Just Okada wins. LOL. No, but I could see, like, you're kind of right. When I first looked at this, I was like, you know what? Tanahashi might need a win here, and then Kushida might need a win here. But at the same time, I think we're saying that because maybe we're not expecting Ospreay or Okada to be dropping their belts, and so it's that like 50-50 mentality.
Yeah. There
is also the opposite way you could go with this, where obviously Tanahashi's not doing no jobs to Ospreay. And let's put it out there what's not going to happen. Tanahashi's not jobbing to Ospreay. It would probably be a very bad idea for him to job to Okada.
Yeah.
So that's probably not happening. And definitely Kushida and Tanahashi are most likely not beating Okada, although I could see a case that could be made more so for Tanahashi getting a win over Okada in the lead up.
Yeah.
As opposed to, Okada doesn't need the win at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think if Tanahashi were to pick up a win on Okada, that would be like monumental.
And then of course, they could always do the easy way and just have Tanahashi beat Ospreay.
That's the next way we're gonna go. Yeah. So Ospreay or Kushida could beat each other. That's fair game. and, you know, Okada or Tanahashi picking up wins against the junior members of the other team, that's also pretty obvious.
Right.
One thing that's not so obvious that you could do if you really want to shake things up and maybe draw for this Dontaku show is have Tanahashi go over Okada. But I don't know if at the same time, I mean, Okada and Tanahashi both beaten each other in the past.
Right.
So it's not so unbelievable. You know what I mean? I don't know if they need to do that. You're thinking Kushida and Tanahashi are both going to pick up wins on the way?
I think so. Definitely their team's going to win one of these matches.
I think they're going to win one of these matches. But
I'm leaning.
Ospreay's going to get jobbed twice in a row? That's a lot, man.
Yeah, that is a lot. I don't know. Maybe Kushida and Tana pick up a win, and then maybe Ospreay, or maybe Okada. Next time Okada pins Kushida.
I think Tanahashi and Okada are getting the wins here in both. Actually, you might be. Well, Kushida might pick up a win, and then Okada might pick up the other win.
Yeah,
like I could see that happening. I'm gonna say the first night. This is just my feeling. I'm gonna say on the April 27th show for the main event, Ospreay and Okada are getting the win.
All right, I'm going with Tana and Kushida.
Okay, on that night?
Yep.
Gotcha. And then I'm gonna flip it for the May 3rd show. I'm gonna go ahead and say Tanahashi and Kushida will get the win, whereas Okada and Ospreay will lose on that night.
And I'll do the opposite. I'll go with Okada Ospreay on May 3rd and go and have Tana and Kushida take the loss there.
Okay. Now that we're on the subject, now that we've kind of solidified our picks, I've got Tanahashi and Kushida going over on April 27th. You got Ospreay and Okada. How do you see it ending that night?
On the second night?
Yep. No, the first night, April 27th.
So with me thinking that Tana and Kushida get the win, I'm gonna go with Kushida getting the win on Ospreay.
Okay, and I'm gonna say Okada's gonna beat Kushida.
Okay.
Probably like either the Billion Yen Dream or the Rainmaker 1, 2, 3.
And I'm thinking what's the what did he call it? Small package driver?
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, I'm thinking Back to the Future on Ospreay.
Nice. Okay. And then just kind of skipping ahead here, since we're already on the subject, May 3rd. So I've got Tanahashi and Kushida. I'm going to say Tanahashi, High Five Flow, 1, 2, 3, Will Ospreay. And you got Okada. I'm assuming you're taking out Kushida.
Yeah, I'm going Okada, Billion Yen Dream on Kushida.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick to that old adage with New Japan. Heavyweights beat juniors.
Yeah.
And that's the way I'm just going to go that way.
Yeah, it's
the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And I also say like Kushida and Ospreay both taking a loss. So I'm like, all right, whatever. It's their junior. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Right, and then so moving on. So the main event of this wrestling Hi No Kuni show.
Well, no.
Oh, we
got the heavyweight tag title.
All right,
so April 29th, we're going to
wrestling Hi No Kuni
and Kumamoto. And there are two pretty big matches.
Yeah, so we have the heavyweight tag title match with Sonata and Evil against Killer Elite Squad.
Yeah, so I am actually really optimistic about this match because every time we watch these guys wrestle each other, it's always money for whatever reason. I don't know why. They just tend to have very, very good chemistry with one another. You would always think that they wouldn't, but I mean, we've talked about this before. Killer Elite Squad always seems to deliver in big match situations.
Yeah.
And like for a team that I just really don't like, I still enjoy their matches. And then you got LIJ, who are inconsistent at best, but when they want to show up for a big match and they want to turn up, they know what they're doing, and you get big match Sonata, big match Evil. Yeah. So I mean, I'm expecting this to be very good. Hopefully, it's maybe even better than their Wrestle Kingdom match. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm also expecting another very good match. We've seen Sonata, he had a world title match earlier this year, and Evil had one last year, and like you said, in these big match situations, these guys usually come through. So, and both these teams have great chemistry together. Mm-hmm. So I'm expecting a really good match. As far as the victor, I mean, this is LIJ's first title defense, right?
I'm trying to think.
Because Evil...
No, they defended against Okada and...
that's right.
And
Goto.
Yeah. So that was their only title defense.
This is their second defense since Evil returned.
Evil's been out with the injury, with the, what was it, fractured, orbital bone?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going Killer Elite Squad, bro.
I don't know. What if the New Orleans police get Dave Boy Smith Jr. before this match happens?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he'll be able to deal with that. I don't know. We'll talk more about that. But yeah, I just, I don't know. LIJ's had the title for a while. They don't really seem to need it, or they don't seem to be doing anything with it. And I think that we're ready for a title change here. So I am going Killer Elite Squad.
I'm also going to have to go Killer Elite Squad just because I really don't see any other teams lined up to challenge LIJ right now.
Who is even in this heavyweight tag division?
I mean, there's the Young Bucks who are just chilling.
Oh my God, the Big Bucks, bro. I forgot. Yeah, so I mean, right now it's you got there are some makeshift teams, but I mean, it's really the only teams that have been pushed are Ishii and Yano. Mm-hmm. For a long time, they were one of the only teams pushed. Obviously, Killer Elite Squad. GOD's always in the mix, but they're tied up with the tag.
I almost forgot about GOD. They're kind of slipped my mind.
They're tied up with the
6-man title.
6-man titles, and then you got the Big Bucks, and I mean. Oh man, I am ready. Oh my God, I'm ready for some big bucks to come.
A Young Bucks Killer Elite Squad match, I think, could be really, really good.
And I mean, you got some other teams. I'm waiting for Best Friends to get back together, and
it's gonna be a while. Beretta's still gonna be out on the shelf for a while.
Yeah, I don't even know how long he's out. Really, I guess we never followed up on that.
I mean, he had torn bicep. That's usually 6 to 8 months.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I have no clue how long that is. Sounds bad. Sounds not good.
Based off all the biceps that have torn in the past, that's about...
What are you talking about? Tanahashi was back in weeks. That's how I know it's not a serious injury. If Tanahashi... No, I'm just playing. Obviously, that man's crazy and working through injuries that are probably doing him permanent damage.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, I mean... Obviously, there's a couple teams, but nothing has really been foundational or really strong about the heavyweight tag division this year. We've talked about that many times. That being said, I think Killer Elite Squad just needs these titles. I think my original thought was when they put the titles on LIJ was, hey, have them win the tag tournament, have them win the titles on the big stage, and really establish these guys as your Japanese tag team, but they haven't really done much with them since they won the belts. And so I'm just thinking at this point, Killer Elite Squad, they're kind of out there, they're not doing much. Maybe put the belt. They love to hotshot titles. These titles don't matter to them that much. I mean, I don't remember the last time someone held the belts for a year or something like that. Maybe when Tenkozy was around,
yeah,
and having that incredible run in 2012. But yeah, I'm gonna go Killer Elite Squad. I think we're gonna get a killer bomb on both guys, 1, 2, 3, and maybe this is a match we see again sometime around Dominion.
Plus, another reason why I think that they want to keep the belts off of LIJ. G1 is right around the corner. I don't think you want Evil and Sonata going into as tag champs into that tournament.
Why?
I don't know. You keep the tag belts on KES, who are probably not going to be in the tournament, and you can still do tag title matches on some of those G1 shows.
They probably won't be, but you just never know. They could be.
Yeah.
I don't think having a tag champion in the G1's the worst thing in the world, but
it's not the worst thing, but if they want to run a tag title match on a block night, then
but what they probably would end up doing is doing it. If they do it, they'd probably end up doing it during the finals.
Yeah.
And by that point, whoever's the tag champions, they're going to be knocked out anyways. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's not that your logic isn't totally unsound. You're probably right here. I mean, obviously, I think we both think that Evil and Snot are going into the tournament. That's like a foregone conclusion. It's happening because they've been in multiple of them now for years. Whereas I don't think either of Killer Elite Squad's been in G1. Not that or maybe Davey Boy was like years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, but they definitely weren't last year. Last couple years, I don't think either of them were.
I think it makes sense. Put the titles on KES, and if they want to come back to this, they can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Killer Elite Squad here.
Yeah, go on KES also.
So that leads us up to our main event, which is Minoru Suzuki taking on Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. And this is a match that has been building and building and building. It's been building for a while.
Yeah, it's been built for a while. Those guys that like to say that there's no build and no long-term storytelling in New Japan, like, what are you talking about? Like, look at this rivalry right here.
And not only that, but like if you also factor in, Naito's year that he's had, and coming off of, he had the mini feud with Taichi not too long ago, and then right after that followed it up with that match against Zack Sabre Jr. during the New Japan Cup, which was somewhat of a mini feud as well. Mm-hmm. Ever since the New Japan Cup, what's it called? Like the different New Japan Cup like nights that they had multi-man matches, they've been building Suzuki-gun against LIJ, and that's really where this feud kind of kicked off between Naito and Suzuki. And almost immediately, like, Naito pissed Suzuki off so much he was ready to fight for the title.
And Suzuki hates defending his title.
Yeah,
he doesn't feel like he should have to.
Yeah,
and we saw what Goto had to put his hair on the line to just get one more shot. Suzuki doesn't really put his belt on the line so easily, but Naito has pissed him off. The tranquilo attitude and the disrespect.
Yeah, he don't play that.
Yeah,
he don't play that. Like, that disrespect will not be tolerated.
I stood next to Suzuki, and I was trying to be as respectful as possible and not wind up in a gotch in the middle of New Orleans.
Naito does not care, man. He just does not care.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wow, like, what's happening here? Because this is a tough one to call.
So I think that the Tranquilo is going to get to Suzuki. Suzuki is going to get too heated, and that's going to be his downfall in this match. And I'm saying that Naito is walking out the new IWGP Intercontinental Champion.
Oh man, you seem pretty sure about this one.
Yep. I don't know, man. I just feel like Naito's been kind of on the back burner a little bit
this whole year.
Yeah, since losing at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like we've mentioned this before about him kind of being like the new Nakamura. Mm-hmm. So I think now's the time. They've told an excellent story. I think the tranquiloness gets to Suzuki. He goes in a blind rage. The blind rage ends up being his downfall. Naito takes advantage and pulls up the win here.
Yeah, so I wish I would have kept... I think that they do have several multi-man matches against one another during Dontaku. So it does seem to me that at least for the minor time being that they're going to continue this feud at least through the end of the tour. I don't know if it's going to have implications going forward beyond May 4th. You know what I mean?
Right.
That being said, I could definitely see these guys ending up in a G1 block against one another again. So many times they will do it that way where it's like if they've already wrestled throughout that same year, why keep them away from each other?
Right, put them in the same block, yeah.
Put them in the same block and keep the story going. And it adds to the match. So
right, and for example, let's say Naito does win, then in their same block, then you have Suzuki beat Naito, and then after the G1 you have another title match.
I think have I not? I think this year I said I thought Naito was winning the G1, didn't I?
Yeah.
See, that's my only hesitation. I think you're right about what you're saying, but then there's the other aspect of it. where this is, because you have to long-term book, brother. Long-term.
What?
Where?
Long-term. I'm on that week-to-week booking, pal. Goddamn.
Thank God. You know, this past week's been weird that we had like a break where there's no New Japan shows. It was like, what do we do?
I know. I watched like 4 episodes of The Walking Dead yesterday.
Oh my God. Yo, yesterday? Oh my God. I finished Westworld. I like watched all of Atlanta. It was a great day. Oh my God. Yeah, we got to talk about that after the show. Man, Atlanta's a great show. But anyway, so I just don't know, because it's like, yes, you could put the title on Naito, and yes, like it would elevate, you know, I don't know about elevate him, but like give him something to do. But I'm just like, where's Naito go from there? And I mean, there's a lot of time between now and G1. Or I'm sorry, now in like Wrestle Kingdom and all that. And yeah, there's some big shows coming up. So I mean, you can give him a title run and take it off. But I also feel like Suzuki has done just such an incredible job with the IC title this year, which seems so out of place with.
I mean, after the Never title run last year, that was garbage. Yeah.
So I don't really know. I feel like I'm gonna go with Naito because I think he needs it.
Yeah.
Like, it just, you're putting him in a big match situation. He already lost to Zack Sabre Jr. this year. He lost to Okada.
He's had to wrestle Yoshihashi and Taichi.
Yeah, and he got attacked by Jericho, and who knows if they're ever even going to pay that off. So, right. I'm going to go with Naito, but I don't think that this will be a long title run for Naito. This is my prediction. I think Naito wins the belt and then drops it in short order, which would seem somewhat counterproductive, but at least like he wins the first match and maybe like in a pretty emphatic fashion. And then I don't know if they're going to run back him and Suzuki or not, but I could see him dropping the title quickly, and then maybe, you know, New Japan's very good at having guys lose and then being able to recover them in a very quick and short order. I mean, just look at Tanahashi. You know, they it's not that the losses don't matter; they matter, but they also find ways to smartly book guys.
I mean, look at Suzuki. Big loss at Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, recovered quickly.
But I think about Tanahashi because, I mean, look at the losses he's had. He lost in the New Japan Cup Finals. He lost to Suzuki. I mean, big like losses. Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, with that being said, I think it would be too much for Naito to take this loss again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, if he takes the loss, where does he go from there? And I would assume like maybe him and Naito him and Suzuki need to run it back. I don't know. But I feel like he can win this match, win the title, have a short little title reign, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, and then by G1 have dropped the belt, and then run it back between these guys in the G1, and we can find out at that point with no titles in line who the better man is. But I'm going to go with Naito on this one. And also because I kind of think Killer Elite Squad's winning the tag belts. I think Suzuki-gun is winning the junior tag belts as well. So at that point, I'm going to lean towards Naito taking the belt off Suzuki and kind of balancing out the power struggle with the factions there. I think this match is going to be excellent.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a match of the year contender.
Hopefully. I mean, Naito and Suzuki, the dynamic between them with Suzuki just wants to kill Naito. He wants to kill Naito. Yeah. Naito just does not care. And hopefully we get like G1 level Naito like coming out here doing all the crazy stuff he does, because it seems like we haven't seen that guy since the G1.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, as great as the main event with him and Okada was, and as great as his performance, I'm not dogging his like performances this year. He hasn't like risen to that an extra level this year at all.
And something we've talked about before, it was almost like it was Stardust Naito at Wrestle Kingdom. He's kind of gone back to being tranquilo.
Yeah, so I'm excited. My prediction, Naito wins the belt, and then we see him throw that thing up in the air and walk out the building without that belt, leaving it right there in the center of the ring, and one of the young boys has to come get it. So, yeah. So, I think, man, I'm surprised. I kind of thought you were going to go Suzuki on that one.
You know, as much as I don't want to find myself in a chokehold, I have to go with Naito here.
Yeah, and Mr. Suzuki, if you are listening to this show,
No,
Please don't hold it against us.
no disrespect, sir.
It's not that
Suzuki Ichiban.
Suzuki Ichiban, because we're not predicting a shoot here. We're predicting a worked.
We know if it was a shoot, sir. that you would stretch him and
So I think that's going to be an excellent night. Hi No Kuni, the rest of the card, even though it's a lot of repetitive stuff, it actually looks really good. And I think during that card, we're also getting some singles matches between Bushi, Desperado, Takahashi, and Kanemaru.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So they're kind of gonna. That's when I was saying earlier that they're gonna kind of continue that feud going into the Best of Super Juniors. That kind of makes sense too. So that leads us to the big shows, man.
Here we go. Wrestling Dontaku, Night 1, May 3rd.
Fukuoka.
Yep.
Last time we were in Fukuoka, we got the shock of the century.
Jericho is Fukuoka.
Yeah, Jericho is Fukuoka. I love that. I love that.
So we got a never 6-man title match here with Tamatonga, Tangaloa, and Bad Luck Fale, the OG Bullet Club, taking on
Tongans.
Yes, the Tongan Club, taking on the Young Bucks and Marty Scurll.
The villain, baby. Yeah, so this is a night where we are shifting the focus away from the Sekigun and Chaos feud and the LIJ and Suzuki-gun feud, and this is all about the internal struggle and the civil war within the Bullet Club. And this is the first match of the night that really kind of highlights that struggle. Now we've seen some what are they called? Factional matches.
Yeah.
Over the past month or so, or the last couple months even. But this is the first time that a title has been on the line.
This is a big thing. This is what Jay White has been kind of preaching about, having faction members defend their titles against each other. So, I mean, this is kind of like the first, big step in that direction.
It's very, very interesting because the amount of times that you'll ever see two different teams within the same faction wrestle each other in New Japan is extremely, it's just very, very, very rare. Right. It almost never happens. So with that being said, the idea that there's a title match with, team members from the same faction in New Japan, I can't remember the last time that ever happened. I've thought about it. I'm sure maybe it has happened to some degree, but I can't think of a single example. And I usually can go to the well and dig up something, but I can't think of anything. Can you think of anything?
Not off the top of my head.
So, this is a really, it's just very, very, very rare and very, very interesting. And you have the team of, G.O.D., Fale, and Tamatonga and Tangaloa, and they're, the Tongans have been the odd man's out during this entire feud. And if anything, we've only seen what seemed to be maybe not approval of the Bucks, but the interactions on being the elite and in the ring and stuff, there hasn't seemed to be any heat with G.O.D. in them.
It seems like G.O.D.'s heat is with Cody.
Yeah, and maybe some with Kenny too, even.
Yeah,
but none with these guys, and I haven't seen anything that would indicate that Marty Scurll has been an issue with them as well. So it is an interesting booking decision to kind of do this. And the official team name, I just looked it up, of the Young Bucks and Skrulls, the Supervillains.
Ah, nice.
So yeah, we got OG Bullet Club against Supervillains here. And with that being said, I just think it's a very interesting booking decision to kind of go this way, what are you expecting here?
I think this will actually be a really good matchup. I'm having a hard time nailing down who I think is going to win here. I feel like the OG Bullet Club, they lost to Cody and Scurll as Strong Style Evolved.
Oh, you mean the
Guerrillas of Destiny?
Guerrillas of Destiny,
yeah,
in a tag match.
And they've kind of been an afterthought in this whole feud. So part of that makes me want to go with them retaining the titles here. But also I know it's the Never Six-Man titles, which are probably the most hot potatoed titles out of all the titles in New Japan. And this is the Young Bucks' first title match as heavyweights.
I've thought about that aspect of it, that, it's like, oh, they're heavyweights now. But then at the same time, it's the open weight titles.
Right.
So it's not, and they've held these titles with Kenny in the past.
Right.
So it's not like it would be some new, like, cornerstone necessarily, unless New Japan wanted to spin it that way. I mean, you can say whatever you want. Like, oh, they're heavyweights now. They got the open weight titles. But if you're a real fan, they have already held those belts before. I am wondering how the other members like Yujiro and Chase Owens, who tend to both be more aligned with the OG Bullet Club, might play into this match in particular. There's a part of me that thinks that maybe we could see some of the old school Bullet Club shenanigans here, which could lead to the OG Bullet Club like winning, or something could happen where the Bucks and Skrull pick up the win, because these are not the most important titles in the world, and
maybe Cody,
maybe some of the elite guys. I just feel like ultimately a lot of the matches between the Bucks and like the match they had with Yujiro and Chase Owens, they kind of kept it civil. They tried to say, hey, we don't want to be doing this. We've been booked this way. Same thing with like Cody and Skrull against God. They try to do the same thing.
Right.
But I think that this might be the tipping point where we actually see the actual blow up, if you will. Where there's actual real tension, because this is a real prize that these guys all are vying for, and I feel like we could see some sort of interference from the outside that leads to whether one team wins or the other doesn't really matter. I think it's ultimately going to lead to actual heat between these guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've been thinking for a while that the guys involved with being the elite are kind of going to be going
separate.
Yeah. Plus, we'll get to this later. There is a match coming up the next night where the guys that are more aligned with Kenny, like the Tongans, will be in a 10-man tag against all the guys from being the elite. So I feel like something has to happen here that really leads to there being conflict between these two teams. So that being said, I'm going to predict that the OG Bullet Club wins the belt or retains their titles through nefarious means. Maybe with outside interference from either Yujiro or Chase Owens.
Just to be different, I'm going to go with the supervillains.
Just to be different? That's the only reason you're doing it? I'm bored. I'm just gonna put my whole reputation.
I want to shake things up a little bit, pal. Goddamn.
So how do you see this playing out?
So yeah, I think supervillains are gonna get the win here. I could see potential interference from Cody and Hangman Page. We know they're there. We're gonna be talking about them in a second. I think they could probably try to equalize any cheating from Yujiro and Chase Owens.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm trying to predict this, but there's so many variables with so many characters, and this has kind of been they've done a great job, but it has been somewhat convoluted. So I'm not even the whole time. Every time we talk about the Bullet Club, I'm just always racking my brain. I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know. But in this case, the only thing I really feel truly confident about is that it's going to cause a real rift that I think will be long lasting. I think that this is going to be a true rift in the Bullet Club on this night. But yeah, I got OG Bullet Club. You got the Bucks and Skrull. I think Skrull's taking the. No. I'm sorry. Matt Jackson's taking the fall.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, Jeremy.
Yeah, if OG Bullet Club, if they win.
You want to come over to this side?
I'm just saying,
the winner side?
If they win, of course, Matt Jackson with the back, maybe Fale gets that man in a bear hug or something.
No, Fale's gonna hit him with a grenade.
Yeah.
Or the bad luck fall.
Bad luck fall.
I love the bad luck fall.
And if supervillains win, I think Tonga Loa
is taking the fall,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Like cease and desist?
Maybe a Meltzer driver.
Meltzer driver? No chicken wing?
Nah, I'm going Meltzer driver.
All right. I mean, that is one way you could go. I mean, Squirrel's not on the docket to like do anything in the meantime, so
That's true.
I mean, he might be the future ROH World Title holder, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we already covered Tanahashi and Kushida against Ospreay and Okada, but that will be happening on this night as well. And then that leads us to our semi-main event for the May 3rd Dontaku from Fukuoka. We have the rematch. The Handsome Battle. The rematch of the Handsome Battle from
Wrestle Kingdom.
We have Kota Ibushi taking on Cody. Just Cody.
Cody, don't call him Rhodes. Yes.
Yo, listen, before you say anything, I just want to say, I still think this was the second best match of Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh, dude, their Wrestle Kingdom match was great.
Yeah, but I still think it's the second best match of the whole card. I liked it better than Suzuki and Goto, and I liked it better than Okada and Naito. And the four-way.
Yeah.
I'm crazy. Like, no one else really feels that strongly about this match. I mean,
I thought it was a very, very good match, and I think this rematch will be very good. Especially there's more,
so much more to it.
Yeah, there's more heat behind this match now.
So much more heat, like
because at the first it was just kind of like a random challenge almost.
Yeah,
and now there's so much more backstory, so much more heat going into this match. And Cody's coming off a big win against Omega from Supercard of Honor. So I think we're going to see some 50-50 booking here. Cody's going to win.
Oh, I mean, we don't have to really discuss it that much. Cody is winning.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a hard one to call.
Dude, we got to watch this with Rich.
Yeah, Rich Ladd.
I want to see his face when Cody hits the crossroads again on Ibushi.
Now, I don't think it's going to be super clean.
Oh, of course not. There's going to be some brandy. Who knows? Maybe he ships Bernard the Business Bear over to Fukuoka.
Oh, my God. I hope not.
But yeah, Cody.
Did you see this past weekend where Cody was on Twitter? Excuse me, and he basically said, it's been great the first weekend as the official new leader of the Bullet Club.
Yeah. And
someone like tweeted Kenny, and they're like, is Cody the leader of the Bullet Club, like official now? And he said, of course not.
So I
think Cody's hitting him with the crossroads and putting him down 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Like to sleep.
Cody,
you know what Cody should do? He should
one wing angel.
No, he should pack a roll of dimes in his trunks and lay that man out Regal style.
Yeah,
and then pin him, and then when the refs like, where'd all these dimes come from? Like, I don't know, just roll out of the ring.
Right.
That's what heel Cody should do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pointing to the head.
Yeah. But Cody's picking up the win here.
That seems. I mean, Ibushi's had another up and down year too, and I'm excited to see what he ends up doing in the G1. I feel like his opportunity to really perform well and do well in that tournament, maybe even go to a finals, is higher than it was say last year when he was just coming back. But right now, with the way that the storyline's going, Cody's got to get the win here. I think it would be a bad booking decision if Ibushi beat Cody here.
Same here.
So that leads us into the main event, which will be Kenny Omega, the Best Bout Machine, taking on Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah, I mean, Hangman Page had a very good match with Ibushi at Supercard of Honor that we saw in New Orleans. I think that was kind of a breakout match for Page, kind of showed that he can kind of hang on the level of guys like Ibushi. I think this match here with Omega will be another breakout moment for him. I think this will be a very good standout match. I mean, it'll be a good back and forth match, but at the end of the day, I think Omega is picking up the win here.
I mean, in a way, yes. We've talked about how the Bullet Club storyline has kind of been ongoing, but this is interesting how this is something I've alluded to in the past where I've said, they've got so many interwoven storylines going into this thing. So this is just one little thread. If you think back to it, when what was it? Was it New Beginning when Kenny dropped the title to Jay White?
Yeah.
So at the end of New Beginning, when Adam Page came out to challenge for the belt, that was the start of
this Kenny and Hangman Page heat.
The whole conflict stemmed from Kenny and Hangman kind of having that altercation on that night, and with Cody telling Omega, like, this is his moment. This isn't about you.
Right.
You know, you're
what are you doing out here?
What are you doing? You're stealing his moment. So we've never really seen the blow off to that. And Adam Page has been the one guy. He's shown some conflict, but out of everyone on being the elite, out of the Bucks, out of Skrull, and everyone like that, he's shown more allegiance and sway to Cody's side than anybody else. So this has been mounting, and Page is coming off. I know you talked about like his incredible performances, but like, let's not forget how great that Ibushi match was that he had at Supercard of Honor.
Yeah,
that was the best Adam Page match I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's why I said that it was a real breakout moment for him.
Oh, my bad. You know, I thought you were talking about the Jay White match. Which was another really good performance.
I was talking about the Ibushi match. Yeah,
I thought you were overselling that a bit. I was like, it was a good match, but I wasn't going to correct you on the air. I was like, you know,
Jeremy, you're always like up there, like, bro, what are you?
No, I was just like, whatever, like Jeremy. No,
I'm talking about the Ibushi match, bro.
No, the thing was, if you felt that way, I mean, you wouldn't be totally wrong. It was a really good match, but I just thought you liked it a lot more than I did.
No, bro, I was talking about the Ibushi. The Jay White match was good, but I was talking about the Ibushi match.
Yeah. Okay, so so seeing how good that match was with Ibushi and Kenny, I think it gives us somewhat of a litmus test to be able to say what kind of like fireworks and like what Omega and Page can do together.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the end of the day, kayfabe aside, I think Kenny and the Bucks and everyone involved with the Bullet Club, they do want to like give back to the industry and create opportunities for other guys. Look at what they're doing with like Flip Gordon and Joey Ryan. And I think Adam Page is one of those guys they took under their wing and kind of opened the door for him because they saw something in him. And so I'm going to say, I think Kenny, we're going to get big bout Kenny on this night because I think he's going to try his darndest to really, really get something special out of Adam Page and elevate him in defeat.
Yeah.
And so I'm expecting like fireworks. At the same time, I think Kenny's going to win, but all bets are off when it comes to this Bullet Club storyline.
Right. I mean, not that Page is going to like beat him clean in a one-on-one, but dude, I have no clue where this story's going. I have no clue. So you're taking Kenny. Yeah, I'm taking Kenny.
And I am too. But listeners, do not be surprised with Cody out there in the woodworks and Skrull and the
Young Bucks, OG Bullet Club.
Anything can happen here. So, I mean, the only thing I can say is I think Kenny's going to win. And I think this match is going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be around 4, maybe even higher than that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think that this May 3rd Dontaku card looks very interesting. It's not like it... I don't know if it'll be better than the May 4th show because that will be very hard to do. But we're getting 2 awesome Dontaku cards back to back.
Yeah, it's going to be a stacked weekend. So moving on to night 2 of Wrestling Dontaku. We kick things off. There's going to be a OG Bullet Club and Ibushi.
The Bullet Club and Ibushi.
Yeah, so that's going to be Kenny, Guerrillas of Destiny, and Fale and Ibushi going against pretty much being the elite cast, Cody, Young Bucks, Marty Scurll, and Hangman Page.
And I'm almost going to guess that there's a good chance that we see the rest of the guys that are involved with Bullet Club on the outside while this match is taking place. Like, don't be surprised if Chase Owens and
Yujiro
aren't out there. And when is Bone Soldier coming back?
Oh, that's right. Totally forgot about that. Bone Soldier. I don't think they set a date on that promo video, but I'm assuming...
Yeah, we've been talking about shenanigans and stuff like that. Who knows? He might end up being
what if Bone Soldier accompanies Cody to the ring for the Ibushi match?
Who knows? I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about shenanigans and different things like that if Bone Soldier somehow gets involved in this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the other, obviously, Hikuleo is out with the injury, so he's not going to be involved in this. And then, so that kind of just leaves you with Yujiro Chase Owens, but I would not be surprised if they're somehow on the outside while this match is going on. Like, we're gonna see the whole Bullet Club out. Like, I don't think we've seen the whole Bullet Club
since G1 USA when Kenny won the belt.
Yeah, like that special moment, Kenny wins the belt, and it seems like everything's great in the world with Bullet Club. And since then, it has been.
What about Juicy Gino Gambino?
He's not in the Bullet Club. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Hey, Fale gave that man a shirt.
Okay. Cool. Maybe we'll see Juicy. You know what? Maybe we'll see Juicy there. You think we'll see Juicy? What about Stephen Amell? Stephen Amell, he's part of the Bullet Club.
Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah, maybe we'll see Jeff Jarrett.
WWE Hall of Famer?
My God. Let's get Cody Hall up in here. Like, let's just get everybody back in. Like, you know, let's get King Haku out there. Like,
yeah,
freaking whatever. Run
Ming. He needs to be. They need Ming on the OG Bullet Club side to win this war.
Yo, I'm looking online right now. I wouldn't be surprised. Would you be surprised if I told you that I think that there's been more members in Bullet Club than there ever was in the NWO?
No. That's because they've been through so many leader changes, and there've been so many guys like in and out.
We'll have to do research, but I'm like gonna guess. I almost think it's either the same
or close.
Or close.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so here we are, 10-man tag. We got all the heavy hitters from the Bullet Club going head to head. This is an insane idea. This is obviously what Gato wants to do, where he sees this project going. Do we see the conflict between the Bullet Club continuing after this, Jeremy?
Oh, definitely. Omega has to get that win back from Cody, bro.
I can't handle this, bro. It's too emotional for me, bro. I can't handle it. Like,
this is not gonna end till probably All In, dude. This is gonna build All In. Like Cody has to, and Omega have to run it again.
With so many working pieces, I think it's too hard to be like, this guy's gonna pin this guy or anything like that. But just your guess, who's winning here? Who's taking like which team do you think is gonna win?
I think this one's another one. I think this one's like really up in the air. But I'm gonna go with OG Bullet Club and Ibushi.
What if the OG Bullet Club turns on Kenny and Ibushi, and we see the whole entire like Bullet Club reformed and like strengthened, and we say bye bye to Kenny?
I mean, it's possible.
There's so many possibilities, or I don't know what's gonna happen, like literally, but I couldn't see them accepting Cody as the leader. That's the only problem there.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. I was just kind of like thinking, like, what if this ends up with like everybody like teams up against
Cody and
Kenny.
And Kenny?
They like do a promo like, Cody, you're not the leader. Kenny, you're not the leader. Super kick both of them. Like,
yeah, the Young Bucks are the leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if the Young Bucks become the leaders of the Bullet Club?
It could happen.
It could happen. So, I'm going to go with the cast of being the Elite in this one.
Okay.
That, like, I don't know why. It's just because it's a 50-50 shot. And I literally don't know who's going to win this. And I don't have a strong prediction. I've seen different scenarios. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, man. Here's what I'm hoping for. Either way. A decent match followed by a classic angle, because the angles they've run during this storyline have been so good.
I'm sure after this match there's going to be some kind of
something's got to happen.
Yeah.
Something like we're coming to a fork in the road. So
yeah.
Who do you got in this one?
I said I got OG Bullet Club and
do you?
Ibushi.
Nice. Oh man, I can't wait to be right. So that leads us to our last two matches. So in the semi-main event, to answer a question, we got a question last week. Will we ever see the the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title headline over the IWGP Heavyweight title? And the answer on this night is no. But with that being said, we are getting one of the best matchups possible in all of New Japan. We are getting the aerial assassin Will Ospreay taking on Kushida.
The Time Splitter. And that's the match that I don't know. I'm equal on this in the main event, but I think with these guys' history of matches that they've had, this
can do nothing but be excellence.
Yeah, I'm expecting like 4.75 to 5 stars out of these guys.
Bro, is Will Ospreay like low-key building a resume as like wrestler of the year in New Japan?
I think it's wrestler of the year almost in general, bro. Like,
he is
the stuff he's been doing in every promotion he's been in, but especially in New Japan, like, this guy's been tearing it up all over the world, man.
I mean,
and
it's been incredible.
Yeah.
It's been incredible. And I mean, they've given him dance partner after dance partner after dance partner. And I mean,
dude, no matter who he's in there with, dude, he creates magic.
Bro, I cannot wait to see, bro. His run through Best of Super Juniors is just going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about the backstory here. So you got Kushida and Ospreay. You kind of alluded to the idea that Ospreay's been on this title run. It's been a story of redemption.
Right.
Him trying to overcome the guys that have given him trouble in the past in New Japan. And Kushida's definitely been one of those guys. I even remember, I believe it was 2016 Invasion Attack when these guys first locked it up. And in that match, Ospreay had just like came in, just joined Chaos, and it was like one of his first, I think it's his first title match against Kushida, and he ended up losing that. But that match was kind of what set Ospreay on the map in New Japan prior to the
Okada match.
No, we're talking like 2 years ago.
Oh.
No, prior to the match he had with Ricochet. That was like the first,
yeah, that match, yeah.
Yeah, this was like the first. That was the first like eye-opening experience. A lot of people don't even kind of heard about Will Ospreay and they didn't really know him. But he ended up losing to Kushida. He ended up wrestling him again later in the year, lost there. They ended up wrestling against one another in
Best of Super
Juniors last year. And Kushida ended up winning, right?
Yep.
He ended up winning that match. That was a 5-star rated match. It was, for my money, one of the best junior matches in history. I mean, it's that good. And then that led us to a few months later where Ospreay ended up picking up the win. But in the eyes of the story, or most spectators, and then also the way they told the story, it was almost like a fluke, basically.
Right.
And so now we're at a point where who's Ospreay beaten this year? Like he
won the 4-way.
Yep.
He beat Skrull.
Mm-hmm. And then he beat Takahashi as well.
Yep.
So out of the last guy really is Kushida. So I mean, what are your expectations like with this match?
I'm going with Will Ospreay to win here. I think they've done a great job with this whole redemption story. I mean, he's white hot with all these insane matches he's having. I think you keep the title on him, keep pushing him strong, and have him go in as a champion into Best of Super Juniors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking it up too right now. I think that these guys also wrestled in the finals of the What Culture Pro Wrestling World Cup, if I remember correctly.
I think that's right, yeah.
Let me see here. I'm just trying to pull it up here. Yeah, they did. So they've got a long history. So yeah, they ended up even wrestling in the finals of the World Cup, and Kushida ended up winning that tournament as well, pinning Will Ospreay. So they've gone back and forth for like the last 2 years now. And with that being said, I think that this has been Will Ospreay's year. Kushida has kind of been on the back burner for most of the year, and I think we're getting ready to see him. Like I think I said earlier in the year that they're gearing him up for Best of Super Juniors, and I don't know if he's going to win Super Juniors like 2 years in a row, but it's Kushida is like one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah.
And, coming off the year he had last year, it's been nice to kind of give him a little bit of a breather, let him get some rest, and then going into Super Juniors, he's going to just tear it up with all the guys that are in that tournament. We'll talk more about that later in the show, but I don't think it's the time to take the belt off Ospreay.
Yeah.
I mean, I did earlier in the year. I thought when Takahashi and him wrestled, it was like, Takahashi's my guy.
Yeah.
But now that I can see where the story's going, I mean, you should probably just complete the story and let him beat Kushida here. Because then he goes into he's on a similar run that Takahashi had last year. Takahashi held the belt all the way up to Best of Super Juniors. Then that's where he started suffering losses, and it set him up for
a Dominion against Kushida, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And other other programs and things like that. I think that's the way you should probably go with Ospreay as well. Take him into Best of Super Juniors as the champion and then go from there. And if you want to do something else, then that will be the time to do it, maybe after Dominion or something like that. But this match is going to deliver. Like, this match is going to be, I hope everyone's my only wish here is, like, nobody kills themselves.
Yeah, no Spanish flies off the apron, please, Ospreay.
Yeah, but with that being said, I think we both got Will Ospreay retaining.
Yep.
And that will lead us into the granddaddy of them all, the big one.
Yeah, the main event for the IWGP Heavyweight title. The champ, Kazuchika Okada, will be defending against Hiroshi Tanahashi. Man, this is going to be epic.
This is history. This is history. Like, we've talked to people that, like, there are some people that are like detractors of Okada's title run that is still currently ongoing. And but dude, every time you watch him wrestle, you're watching history.
Yeah.
You're watching literally history. Like, this is going to be remembered as one of the all-time greatest title runs that there ever has been. And there's no better way to cap off him basically setting the new record for consecutive title defenses than to beat the man who he just tied for that record in the former ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
And something Okada has mentioned in promos recently, he's like, everybody keeps asking me about this record. He's like, I don't care that I tied the record. Like, I want to break the record.
He said he was going to go 100-0.
Oh my God.
He doesn't even like defend the belt enough for that to like be feasibly like a possibility, but that's still dope. But okay, so Okada Tanahashi, like, these guys, aside from I think their first match, which was when Okada was a young lion, and even that's fantastic, I don't think they've ever had a match that was less than 4 3/4. Out of, let's see, they're 4 4-2s, though that would be 10 matches. Take away that first match, got a 9-match series. Maybe they've got one that's like 4.5, probably. But you got a 9-match series that is chock full of 5 stars. Just chock full of it. These guys put on 5-star matches. That's just what they do.
Yeah, they're 5-star machines.
And no two guys are maybe more like familiar with each other when it comes to the New Japan main event, like heavyweight style. And they haven't touched one another aside from some multi-man matches. They haven't had a singles match since the G1
2 years ago, where they built a draw.
They wrestled to a draw. That was a 5-star match also. So they've kept them away from each other. It's now's the time. I think this is the perfect show for them to do this match. The perfect timing for them to do it. And in a way, this may just be a swan song for Tanahashi when it comes to the main event scene. And I'm expecting this to be maybe like, I'm almost getting emotional just thinking about it. I love Tanahashi so much.
Go Ace.
Yeah, but I can't imagine any scenario where Tanahashi upsets Okada.
Yeah, I have a very hard time seeing Tanahashi upsetting Okada here. I think Okada retains the title here. I think Okada I was going to say I think Okada goes into G1 as champion, but I don't want to say that because there's still 2 big shows. There's still Dominion and there's still the Cow Palace show.
The way I see it is this. Once Okada gets this win and sets the record and at this point has broken every single IWGP title reign record, all bets are off. From that point forward,
anybody could beat him.
Any match he has could be his last match. Last bump, last title defense. It could be his last title defense after this, because this is what they've been building to all this time. When people were like, why did he beat Naito? Why did he beat this guy and that guy or the other? Like Kenny and all that. This is why. It's been leading to this moment. And once this moment happens and all bets are off.
Yeah.
So that being said, I give Tanahashi less than 1% chance to win this thing. That being said, I think it's gonna be
it's gonna be a phenomenal match.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be so great.
Yeah, I think that this is gonna be 5 stars, and I think it's gonna be a very, very, very strong contender for match of the year. And as great as Okada's reign has been this past year, I think this will be his best match of 2018 that he's had so far, because you've got outside of Kenny Omega, there are people who will probably lobby for that, but that's a 3-match series. But over a course of 5 years now, I don't know, going back to 2012, 5-6 years, man. This has been the rivalry that has defined New Japan and really this is what made Okada a star.
Yeah.
So this will probably be the final time that these guys ever wrestle each other. They stand at a 4-4-2 record, 4 wins apiece, 2 draws, and I'm gonna guess that this will be the final solidifying nail in the coffin where Okada gets the win and establishes him as the superior of the two,
as the ace.
I mean, he's the ace.
Right.
I actually read an interview where Okada was talking about. They were asking Okada about why, does it bother him that Tanahashi still calls him the ace, himself the ace? And he's like, I mean, he can call himself whatever he wants. He's not the ace of this company.
Right.
That ship has sailed, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is ace versus ace. It's the battle of the aces. And in a way, Ospreay and Kushida almost is, because Ospreay is the guy they're setting up, and Kushida's been their guy for years. So I mean, these are 2 very similar matches in a way. Kushida kind of reflecting Tanahashi's role, and Ospreay kind of reflecting Okada as being the preeminent guy in their divisions. There's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, definitely a nice parallel.
Yeah, there's a parallel there, but I don't think Ospreay's losing. I don't think Okada's losing. I think that this is going to be 2 of the best matches of the year back to back, kind of like what we got at Dontaku.
Yeah.
And Okada, he's going to make it rain.
I agree.
And I'm going to cry. I'm going to get teary-eyed, bro. I love Hiroshi Tanahashi so much, but I don't think we're ever... I never say never, but I don't think we're ever going to see him hold the big gold ever again.
Yeah.
And so that wraps it up. Do you have any final thoughts about these shows or any...
Looking forward to watching everything this week and next week. Yeah, it's going to be great. I love professional wrestling. I love watching wrestling, so I'm looking forward to watching all this stuff. I'm really excited to see. I really want to see my boy Juice win the Never title. I'm excited to see how this whole Bullet Club stuff advances.
Naito and Suzuki.
Naito and Suzuki.
Finley and White.
Ospreay, Kushida, Okada. This is just gonna be.
It's championship season, baby.
Yeah, this is gonna be a great 2 weeks. I mean, the rest of everything that's coming up is gonna be great. We're gonna get to it in the news a little bit later, but. Yeah, man, it's a great time to be a New Japan fan. It's a great time to be a fan of professional wrestling. So now we're going to dive into questions. Let me pull these up here. Thank you guys for sending in your questions. I'm going to start with the ones that were submitted on Reddit. So Reddit user 123_Reddit. He asks, you each can pick one non-New Japan wrestler as a special guest entrant in the G1. Who do you pick?
So are we gonna go? That's a very open loaded question. I almost wish that they would have given some parameters to that, someone we could actually realistically see being in the G1,
or just fantasy.
Or are we just going fantasy, like someone who's under contract to another company that has no shot of being in it?
I'm saying, let's say you're Ghetto and you're looking at the indies out there. If you're Ghetto, who are you trying to bring in? It's not 100% guarantee it's going to happen, but you're going to try and finesse your way to get this person into the tournament.
How about we do this? Let's pick someone that we could actually see, maybe potentially, obviously I think that this tournament is so full that it's hard for me to imagine anyone from outside's coming. But let's pick, just like you said, someone maybe on the indies, international, someone in the local Japan scene that we could see fitting right in and being your pick if you're Ghetto. And then let's do a second pick. We're going to add to this, and we'll pick somebody that has no shot of ever being in the G1 right now, because maybe they're tied to another major company, whether it be a competing company in overseas, in Mexico or Europe, or like someone from WWE or like one of the major US companies, and we'll pick one like
Okay, so one more realistic and one more like
one that's just total fantasy. It's not gonna happen, but you're like, God, like put him in there. Let's do it.
All right. You want? How about you go first on your?
Am I going like realistic?
Yeah, go. Let's do realistic first.
Okay. Oh man. For me, someone who I would, there's so many guys like all of a sudden right now when this like gets brought up to me, there's so many guys that I could see that could be in there that I think would be awesome. And I've said Sekimoto in the past, and he is going to be on a New Japan card soon, but based on like what I've seen of wrestling in the past like couple weeks and like past year, if there's one guy, and also, oh man, I'm like so many guys, but if there's one dude that I'm like, he's out there, he's unsigned, let's bring him to Japan.
Bring him in there.
Let's go with Big Daddy Walter, baby.
The new PWG champion.
Yep, the new PWG champion. He just lifted the title off of Keith Lee. So I wonder if Keith Lee's NXT bound. I don't know. But yeah, so Walter would be the guy that I would want to see come to Japan and chop the crap out of everybody.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
You want to talk about monster gaijins? Bro, he would kill Michael Elgin. He would kill Kenny Omega. He would kill all these all these skinny wimps, bro. Bring him in there, bro, and let's give him a monster run.
Oh my gosh.
Bro, him in the G1 would be, bro, Suzuki and Walter.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So like there's lots of guys that like you could bring in, like there's a lot of names I could have named just now, and but that's the guy who I'm like, I think creates the most interesting matchups for me. Now for you, who would you bring in?
For me, it would be the guy that he defeated for that PWG title. I would try and bring in Keith Lee.
Wow, yeah, that would be awesome too.
Dude, been a fan of Keith Lee, and it was great to finally see him, work live in New Orleans and see what he could do. Like, man, I want to see him spirit bomb some dudes in New Japan.
So, I mean, those would be, there's some other names that like are probably worth mentioning. Like I immediately was like Matt Riddle.
Yep.
Oh, I would love to bring Matt Riddle to Japan.
The King of Bros. Also his chosen bro partner, Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb is another guy that would be great.
And he's been in New Japan before, so that's even more realistic.
Sekimoto was one of the guys that I was like...
he's wrestling on Lionsgate Project 12.
I mean, there's a few guys like over... I mean, oh, bro, Kento Miyahara, bro. Oh my god. I would love to see the ace come in and wrestle the other aces and see like a battle of the ace. Oh man.
Yeah.
Kento Miyahara is just incredible. Now, that being said, because we named a few guys, I'm getting like excited.
All right, let's go fantasy.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan.
Oh my god.
Yeah, bro. If there was one guy I could bring in that, like, there's no chance he's coming over. It's just never gonna happen. He's like, Daniel Bryan is the guy I would want in the G1. Although realistically, I'd be concerned maybe about his health. I know everyone's like always like, oh, his health. But I'm like, bro, the G1 is for real. And I'm like, but yeah, I mean, like, if I could bring in one guy out there, that's Daniel Bryan, bro. That's who I want in the G1.
Definitely, that's a really, really good choice. Yeah.
Who are you thinking?
Oh, man, let me see. One guy, no shot to bring into the G1.
Like your like fantasy pick. And it could be anybody.
Dude, what about CM Punk?
I thought about CM Punk too, actually, and I thought that'd be cheating. But yeah, I mean, I'll give it to you.
He's not. I mean, he's doing the UFC stuff, but hey.
Then there was the other part of me that I was like, well, let's bring back all the New Japan guys. Nakamura, AJ Styles.
I was gonna say AJ, but I'm like, we already seen that. Rollins. But it would still be off. Oh,
Rollins, baby.
Yeah,
Rollins.
Samoa Joe.
Oh, yo, take back your
Joe.
Take back your freaking CM Punk pick and
Samoa Joe. Okay. Oh my gosh, bro. Joe versus Suzuki.
Bro, Joe against Ishii.
Oh my god.
Joe against Ishii.
Yeah, that was the match we were gonna do on our fantasy card for the social suplex draft thing.
Yeah, Joe's the guy.
Oh my god.
Joe's the guy. Like that actually I would almost rather see Joe than Brian. Wow. Okay.
All right.
So that was really fun. Thank you for the question. That was really great.
Next, we have Reddit user Gentlemanly Dragon. Said, "Hey guys, it's amazing to hear the show is getting more downloads and growing so much. Really happy for you."
What up, Dragon?
Thanks, Gentlemanly. So he says his question: who is your favorite from the original Three Musketeers and why?
Okay, so I mean, this is a pretty easy question for me, and it's no contest. It's Shinya Hashimoto. By far. I freaking love Shinya Hashimoto. I mean, if you can tell, like, I like strong style wrestling. I just look at some of the guys that we just like marked out for: Samoa Joe, freaking, Walter, Keith Lee, these big bruisers who are like just heavy hitters. One of my favorite all-time wrestlers, like Mitsuhara Misawa. Like, I freaking love Misawa, and I love that style, and like that was one of the guys who was kind of doing something similar in the 90s in New Japan, in such a unique way. And so, no offense to Muto, no offense to Chono, they were great, and have their redeeming values. And I recognize that Hashimoto might not even be the most well-rounded or most successful of the guys, but bro, a guy who can bring a level of realism to his matches to where, and it's something that's missing from New Japan right now, where he can end a match in minutes. With one strike. That was something that I liked about Takahashi in his run last year. Remember when he took out Kushida?
Mm-hmm.
And it was so believable. It was like, oh, he
just killed Kushida.
He killed this dude. That's what it was like with Mitsuhara Misawa. And so I've always been a big fan of his. In fact, do you remember WCW versus the World?
Yep.
So I used to play with this character. I cannot remember the fake character's name. His name was Dojo.
It was based off Misawa?
No, it was Hashimoto. Yeah, it was Hashimoto, and I didn't know that these guys were actually like real wrestlers. And so I always played with Hashimoto, but even before I was turned on to like Japanese wrestling. And then years later, I was like, man, that guy Hashimoto looks a lot like Dojo from So I didn't know, man, but yeah, I love Hashimoto. Like, to me, outside of Okada and Tanahashi's the greatest IWGP champion. Like, he's my guy.
So to completely honest with you listeners, like, I do not have, my New Japan background is not as deep as Josh's. When I saw this question, I said to myself, is Jeremy gonna know who these guys are? Like, be able to answer this? I had no idea who the Three Musketeers were.
No, take it back. You knew who they were.
I know who they are, but I didn't know that they were called the Three Musketeers.
Yeah. You didn't know that aspect of it.
Yeah, I had to throw it in the Google machine. But I mean, even still, like, completely honestly, like, I'm not really familiar with the majority of their work, so I would have to go with the Great Muta.
I mean, for you, that's who you got the most exposure to,
right?
Like, growing up, right?
Right.
So I mean, I don't know, and I mean, the thing with Muto is like, out of the three guys, from my understanding, I mean, Chono's basically like the biggest star. Even to this day, he's one of the most recognized like wrestlers of all time, and Hashimoto, while wildly popular, I don't think he ever reached the same like levels of acclaim as Muto. And obviously his life was, Hashimoto's life was cut short, but Muto was probably overall the most well-rounded of the guys as far as a performer, as far as being able to reinvent himself, reinvent his moveset, his working ability. I mean, he's winding down now and just about to be done, but I mean, this guy's been going since... These guys were part of the 84 class.
Yeah.
They were in there with Liger. And what's great, Liger's still going, bro.
Yeah, man. Still running strong.
But yeah, I mean, Muto, if you want to ask me who's the best worker of the three, it's Muto by far, and I mean it's not a close comparison, but yeah, Hashimoto's my favorite, but Muto's
I think you were saying that if I watch more, that Hashimoto would probably end up being my favorite.
I feel very confidently that you'd be a Hashimoto fan. As opposed, and it's funny because Hashimoto has the least exposure of the three to the U.S. audience because of the climate of tape trading in the 90s and the limited visibility of New Japan at that time. You really have to do some digging. Now that we got the network, you can watch him all you want.
Yeah,
and I think you'll like him, but I think for you right now, it's got to be Muto.
Yep.
And then Chono, F Chono. No, just playing. No, Chono's great. Chono's great.
Oh, man. Okay, so Reddit user IV5277 asks, will Okada walk into Wrestle Kingdom 13 still the IWGP champion?
Very good chance he will.
It's crazy to think about, but I mean, at this point, he could. However, I think he's going to drop the title this summer.
Okay, so let's run down a few of the options. So, G1's coming up. Obviously, it's not happening there.
Yeah. Well, that kind of plays into the next question from Reddit user Don to the West. He said, assuming Okada beats Tanahashi at Dontaku, who's the next challenger?
Okay, two good questions. We can kind of combine them and think tank this thing a little bit. So, what are the big cards that we got coming up?
So there's Dominion. There's the Cow Palace.
Okay, the G1 special in the USA.
Yeah.
Then we go directly into G1, and he's obviously not losing it there if he's still holding the title.
Right.
Coming out of there, you got King of Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Unless there's a destruction show, but I don't.
All in.
I guess I didn't think about him even defending the title at All In.
Yeah, I mean, if he's the champion, who knows?
It's a possibility. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's it. I would imagine he wouldn't come in and defend the belt at All In.
Right.
I just think with the type of show it is, he'll come in and do a match, but probably not defend the belt.
Yeah.
But that leads us to G1. So that really only gives us 3 title defenses realistically, where we could even see him dropping the belt. And G1 special in USA as well as Dominion both occur before
G1.
The G1. Did you pick Okada to be your preliminary winner of the G1?
I don't even remember now. I think I did.
Yeah, I think that's who you predicted being your guy. So with that, you've kind of thought that he was going to drop the title between now and the G1 at that point, pretty much, right?
Yep.
So I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
I think that he's going to defend the title in the Cow Palace against Kenny Omega. And I think Kenny Omega is going to win a title in the States.
Okay. So who are the realistic challengers that have a chance at winning this thing? So let's run down the list. We got Kenny Omega,
Ibushi,
Naito, Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's already wrestling Tanahashi.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much it right now?
I think so.
Could you go Jay White? Probably not.
I don't see that.
And probably not Ishii.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 guys, unless you brought in someone from outside, which they've done in the past.
Right.
It's not unheard of.
Right.
But yeah, those are the 4 guys right now. So I mean, you got
Shibata.
Oh my god. Yeah, bro. You want to talk about a fantasy guy? Let's bring Shibata back for the G1. Man, so you think that he is not going into
I do not think he's going to G1 as champion.
Here's the deal. For me, he's losing that Dominion or G1 special. Otherwise, he's going all the way to
Right. If we're wrong, he doesn't lose the belt at G1, Special in USA or Dominion, he's going Wrestle Kingdom 13 as a champion.
Yeah, he's going to get a title defense at King of Pro Wrestling, win that, and he's going to G1 to Wrestle Kingdom as the champion. That's my main thing with that. Do I think he's going to drop the title between now and then? I think it is highly likely. And I think Kenny Omega's a great bet for a guy that he could drop it to.
I know we talked about this off air.
This is so hard for me.
You were thinking like Ibushi would be a good guy.
I think Ibushi is a great person to have him lose it to, but I think you got to heat up Ibushi.
Right.
You got to really heat Ibushi up. I'm going to say my prediction, and I could be wrong, I think that he goes to Wrestle Kingdom as the champion. Mm-hmm. This is not the most likely scenario. I think I think you're right. I think it's highly likely he drops the belt before G1. But that being said, I see him going to G1 going to G1 as the champion, going to Wrestle Kingdom as the champion, and dropping the belt there to Naito. I think they need to pay that story off. I think that's what they should do. Or we could get Naito at Dominion against him.
Yeah.
And have him drop it to Naito at that point. I think that's another way to go. So I think the guy he's losing it to, in my opinion, is Naito. And when it happens is up in the air. You could be right though. Kenny Omega could beat him at the G1 Special in the USA, and
obviously that's just like a wild prediction. Like we have no. I mean, that match not even booked. Like that match might not even happen. But
that's like the biggest match you could
right. And I mean, Okada has said in interviews he wants to defend the title in the U.S.
Yeah,
and he wants to defend the title in the U.S. against Kenny Omega. So I mean, it's either there or all in.
Yeah. So I mean, those are our answers. I hope they were okay.
All right. From Twitter, @undoubtedlydean asks, do you think the Golden Lovers reunion has been a success? Should it have been separate from the Bullet Club Civil War?
Has the Golden Lovers been a success?
The reunion, has it been a success? And should it have been separate from the Bullet Club Civil War?
Maybe, but I mean, no, not with the way that their character. Right. I think this has been crafted as a.
Well, I don't think they could have had the reunion without the Bullet Club Civil War.
Yeah, you needed that catalyst. Like how would you get from point A to point B? I guess is the real question. And
I can't see like Bullet Club being fine for real, and like all of a sudden Kenny's like, oh, I'm on a team with Ibushi guys.
Well, you could do Ibushi's off doing his own thing, has nothing to do with this story,
right? And
then later on, him and Kenny hook up, outside of the ongoing feud.
Or maybe you could have done like maybe Suzuki-gun jumps Ibushi and Kenny makes a save, or vice versa.
Yeah, there's different ways you could have done it.
But I mean, I think it has been a success so far.
They're selling merch.
They're selling merch.
They're selling tickets.
Yeah.
They got people. They're drawing crowds. They got interest on both sides of the ocean. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean that for me, yes, it's been a success. I do feel like I don't like the aspect of it where I do feel like Ibushi to an extent is dragged down a bit by this, but at the same time, it's wrestling. There's high points and low points for people in different times, and this is just part of the story for as it is now. And later on we'll see where it leads to. So yeah, I think it's been a good thing to do. Should it have been kept separate from the? What do you think?
No, because like we just said, that was the catalyst for them getting back together. So I think the right place was this whole Bullet Club Civil War storyline for them to get back together.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if it's been the biggest success that maybe it could have been. I think it's hard when you've got so many different companies working together and so many different outside projects and different storylines. But for what it is, it's been great. Plus, we got a 5-star match out of it.
Oh yeah,
we got Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks, and I'm assuming eventually this is going to lead us to a Kenny versus Kota Ibushi match.
Oh so, yeah.
I mean, I can't complain about that.
All right, next question from a Tokyo Wrestling fan on Twitter at TWF87. He said, if we could build a new faction from the current crop of young lions, who would you choose to be the leader and why? So we're putting all the young lions in a faction. Umino, Oka, Yagi, Narita, Yumura, Tsuji.
All the jabrones.
We're putting all these guys in a faction. Which one of them you're picking as a leader?
Who are you?
I mean, for me, based my answer is pretty much based off of kind of the kayfabe standing and how they're booked. I mean, I would go with Umino, as the leader. I mean, he's the current ace. He's the one that has pretty much been pushed the most out of all of them and booked strongly the most out of all of them. I would have him be the leader of the group.
Okay. You said Umino?
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, there's a couple ways you could go. I mean, for me, Narita's just got that sniveling face that, like, if they were a heel faction, like, he would kind of make a lot of sense as far as just like the way he looks and stuff. Mm-hmm. I feel like he'll be a good character. And then another guy that kind of stands out to me is Yagi, just because he's taller than the rest of the guys, and I don't know, he kind of has more of a commanding presence than maybe Umino does. But I gotta go Oka. He's the most seasoned guy. He's the biggest dude. I feel like he could beat any of the rest of the guys in a shoot.
Oka's my boy, but I feel like he would play like the power guy in the faction. Like he would be Batista of the faction.
That could be the truth. That could be the way it is. I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily love the idea of fantasy booking all the
young boys on one stable
into a stable like they're the freaking Nexus, Japanese Nexus. Like no. So I'm not a huge fan of this idea, but it's an interesting question. And I mean, I don't think like who I would see as being the leader of a faction would necessarily denote who I think is going to be the most successful or anything like that. I'm just trying to think what the dynamics of a faction with that many like young lions would be like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't know. I say Oka just because of his seasoned nature and like he's bigger than the other guys. And he can beat them all up. And he's cooler. He's like younger than the rest of them, and he like looks older than everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. Oka. I'll just go Oka. I don't even know what that faction would be. Japanese Nexus.
Oka gun.
Yeah.
Okay. So Legible Toe 762 on Twitter asks if we can change any one thing about the promotion, what would it be? For me, it would be the freaking officiating, making the referee look like geeks. I would make the referees have some credibility, like get some control in these tag matches, have some control over these Suzuki Gun guys, make the Suzuki Gun guys really have to work hard to cheat. Just more order.
For me, if there was there's one thing I could change. I mean, there's two things really that stick out to me. One, and it's more of like just the way they do things now. What I would change, we watch every show, and when they do these tours, just the repetitive nature of the matches. I understand that they run a touring model, and so it's city to city, and not, they can do similar matches throughout the tour from city to city, and it's fine because it's a different audience and a different crowd. But when you're airing that crap, over on New Japan World, and we're expected to kind of like consume it and also cover it, and it's the same matches, like 10 nights, and it's the same match. I don't know. That gets a little much for me. I think there's a way to like keep things, within a feud and keep, that's probably a lot more work to like change things up from night to night, but there's a way to do that. It doesn't have to be the same thing. The other thing too, if I could change anything, is like, I don't know, get them like a major network television deal. like something where they have like super like serious money coming in. I don't know. That's like the other thing that pops into my brain. is like, I don't know, make them the most popular brand in the world. I don't know.
All right. And then the last question comes from our Social Suplex brother, Rich Latta. He says, out of the 20 G1 competitors, where will our 3-star savior, Cody, and Jay White rank among them? What number for each of them? So I've put together a list of the 20 guys I believe will be in the G1 this year. Obviously, this is not confirmed. This is based on previous bookings, who's been in it, and what New Japan's likely to do. So I've picked my 20 guys, and I've tried to rank them out. This is what I got. So, number 1, I have Okada. Number 2, Suzuki. Number 3, Tanahashi. Number 4, Naito. Number 5 might come as a surprise to some of you. Number 5, I have Zack Sabre Jr. Just New Japan Cup winner. He's had a strong year. He's beaten a lot of these guys. I think he'd be seated high in this tournament.
Oh, these are your seeds?
Yeah, like ranking them from 1 to 20. Like how I would rank these guys. Number 6, I have Omega. 7, I have Ibushi. 8, I have Sonata. 9, Evil. Just because both of those guys have had world title matches in the past. Sonata had one this year. Then at 10, I'm putting Goto. 11, Juice Robinson. At 12 is where I have Cody. 13 is where I have Jay White. Then 14, I got Ishii. 15, I got Elgin. 16, I have Yoshihashi. 17, I have Yano. 18, I have Bad Luck Fale. 19, I have Togi Makabe. And at 20, I have Tama Tonga.
Yeah. So we talked about this the other day, and I agree that most of these guys that you listed have either been in G1s or are most likely to reappear in it. The only guy that was someone who I thought maybe, like, who was it?
Makabe was the one guy, like, if they wanted to bring in an outsider, like,
yeah,
see you, Makabe.
Can I see your list?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only thing with this is, and he's asking about Cody and Jay White.
Yeah.
Well, I think Cody and Jay White are definitely higher than Robinson, definitely higher than Goto, definitely higher than Evil and Sonata. I mean, honestly, man, I'm going to tell you, like, they're definitely in the top 10 of guys that would be in the tournament.
See, I wanted to put Cody a little bit higher. My only hesitation about that was like thinking about what has he actually done in New Japan this year.
Yeah, but they booked him so strong.
He has been booked. He's been booked strong, but he has not been there as much as the other guys. And so I kind of put Goto being the never champion. I weighed that a little bit higher.
So I think with Cody and Jay White, I think Okada, Suzuki, Tanahashi, Naito, Zack Sabre Jr. and Omega are probably all higher. But after that, and maybe like they're on the same, like, well, at least Cody's on the same level as Ibushi.
if he beats Ibushi, I definitely think that you could bring Cody up to 8.
Yeah, see, this man Rich is out here hating, and he doesn't even realize, like, out of a field of 20, Cody's no lower than 8 or 9 in my book.
Right.
And Jay White is in the top 10 as well.
Right. And I mean, if Jay White has a successful title defense and Cody beats Ibushi and Juice Robinson beats Goto,
I think they're both higher than Juice.
And that definitely shakes some things up here.
I think they're both higher than Juice Robinson as far as like their stature in the company. That's just me.
Yeah.
So I think they're both in the top 10. I don't think, and the only reason I think Cody's not higher apart is basically because this isn't his company.
Right. Honestly, that is the only reason.
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason why I have Cody at 11. I was actually, when I was first doing this, I think I had Cody right after Ibushi. But then I was trying to factor in, Sonata and Evil having past world title matches. They've been in New Japan all year. Goto and Juice, they're never title.
I think for like Rich in particular, who's our friend, but who hates both of these guys, is going to be sore if Cody is in the G1, which he may or may not be, but I'm hoping he is.
Right.
Jay White's definitely going to be in it. They're going to beat a lot of people in this tournament, man, and you're going to be not very happy. You're going to watch this G1 and you're going to be like, man, New Japan is going downhill. We got Jay White out here.
It's an off year.
Jay White just beat freaking Fale. Are you kidding me? Yeah, you're gonna see Jay White and Cody.
Dude, the three people he hates are gonna pick up a lot of wins. Saber, Cody, and Jay White.
Yeah, they're all gonna do very well in the G1 this year and probably have good matches. So I mean, I'll leave it at that. They're both top 10. Cody's in the top at least 7 or 8. And it's only because he's not in the company. If he was full time in the company,
if he was full time and he did some more, I mean, after these next 2 weeks, I'd be inclined to bump him up to 8.
Good question.
All right, let's go into news.
So there is quite a bit to kind of cover. This was one of the biggest news stories that kind of broke out, and I figured we should spend some time talking about it. So Chris Jericho just did an interview last week. It actually dropped while we were recording, but I figured we'd talk about it this week. There's a lot. He talked a lot about what's going on with him and his touring and his, the cruise that's coming up and everything like that, and the ongoings with WWE. But one of the questions that's posed to him that really stuck out, and I feel like is big news. They asked him what the foreseeable future with him in New Japan is, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he basically said that while he had a good time working in Japan and things were really fun, essentially the relationship with New Japan is finished. What are your thoughts on that, Jeremy?
Here's the thing, man. I can't trust Chris Jericho. I cannot trust that man. That'll be the same man who'll be like, oh, I'm not going to be at the Royal Rumble. Next thing you know, who's coming out in the Royal Rumble? Chris Jericho. This man loves surprises. He loves, kayfabing us and, making us think one thing and not the other. So, he's working the Greatest Royal Rumble show that's coming up Friday. So, I mean, things are looking like he's going to be doing more WWE stuff. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's a red herring to throw us off. I'm gonna do this Greatest Royal Rumble show. People are not gonna think I show up in New Japan. Next thing you know, he's on the freaking Cow Palace show. So I'm not saying it's 100% going to happen, but I don't trust Chris Jericho, and I would not be surprised if we get our Jericho Naito match this summer.
Okay, those are all great points, but here's something else that's worth noting. I know that he got paid a lot for the match, in the Tokyo Dome. He even kind of alluded to the idea that maybe made $1.5 million somehow, some way, which seems like a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, that would be incredible if that's what he made. At the end of the day, Jericho's still a businessman, and I do think that there was probably plans going forward based on the angle that they shot with them to continue to work together and everything that Jericho said. But he did kind of talk about on his podcast about some of the financial aspects of it, how he was asking for something and they originally came to him with an offer that wasn't quite what he was thinking.
Right.
And then going forward, and there was even talk about how Kenny offered, I don't know if this actually ended up happening, but they talked about how Kenny offered to reduce his purse to give some of it to Jericho to get him to do the match in the first place. With that being said, I could totally see a scenario where the conversations were started, they were expected to go one way, and then things broke down, or Vince and them figured out that, it would be better for them to keep him on their side, and they ended up paying him more money. We've seen them do this with Brock Lesnar in the recent past. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's actual total truth to this on the other end. So for the time being, what I'm going to do is this. Also, New Japan hasn't mentioned him. They haven't brought him up.
He hasn't been in any promo videos, really. Yeah.
Nothing. Since New Beginning, they haven't mentioned it. So, with that being said, I am going to assume from this point forward, official, today's date is April the 23rd, 2018. Chris Jericho, no longer affiliated or a part of New Japan. And if he comes back, I'll just be one of the guys that I got. Because from this point forward, there's nothing indicating to me that he is. The only thing is, I do know that during the Cow Palace, he has an opening in his schedule during the Cow Palace match. So there could be some truth to what you said.
Here's the thing, man. I don't trust him. I can't trust that man.
But for the time being, from all reports, it is looking like the Jericho Naito match may never happen. Also, with the interesting booking that they've done this past year with Naito, it almost seems like they were intending for them to go that direction, and now it's just not really happening,
Yeah.
So we will see. So something else. So last week we mentioned Showbuckle and his YouTube videos and how great they were. We're giving him praise. That's not the first time we've mentioned him on the show.
Yeah.
I know other people have mentioned him, like Kevin Kelly's mentioned him on the air. Dave Meltzer's talked about him in Observer. So, I mean, this is when you got guys like that talking about you, it's legit. Well, literally the same night that we recorded that video, or not video, but podcast. Later that night on Reddit, I saw someone say, did Showbuckle get all his videos taken down? And yes, they hit him with a copyright infringement and they took down all the Showbuckle videos.
Dude. Can you imagine, you put so much time and work and effort into these videos and they take them down?
Yeah, so I'm just I'm blown by this, although I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. It's business, and copyright infringement and intellectual properties are a legit thing,
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, anyone who's watched that dude's videos know that this guy's done nothing but help benefit New Japan.
Yeah, especially
to the Western audience.
Yeah, I mean, if I was New Japan, I'd be I'd hire this guy.
They need to be hiring him. They need to be paying him money to do what he's doing for them. And they need to give him all his videos back.
Yeah.
So with that being said, news broke out this past week. A bunch of people mentioned this to Kevin Kelly, and apparently on his Twitter, he said that he is in contact with New Japan and he's trying his best to kind of go to bat for this guy. We don't even know who Showbuckle is, to be honest.
Yeah.
We just know that he rules. And Kevin Kelly and him are boys. So hopefully we see a resolution where something happens where these videos get brought back, because it would literally be a travesty if the world doesn't get to see his videos anymore, because they're the most educating and most insightful and well produced YouTube videos that anyone who's a fan of New Japan puts out.
Yeah.
And I want to see him keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we need his content.
Yeah. So, that's kind of a somber piece of the news.
Yeah.
Those were the two things I really felt like we should discuss. A couple other things, just kind of get through them very quickly. So the Young Bucks did an interview with Sporting News this past week. I read that the other day at work, and it is a really, really good interview. Sporting News tends to do good interviews with I think they have access to these Ring of Honor guys, because they tend to do good interviews with them. But sportingnews.com did an interview with them, and they talked about being the elite and whether being the elite is truly over or not, and amongst other topics. That wasn't the only topic, but that was I don't know if you got a chance to see that.
No, I didn't get a chance to see that.
You should check it out. They kind of talk about whether they're truly done with being the elite, and how they're saying that many of the guys have told them that they really shouldn't stop it, that they'd be crazy to, because of how successful it is. But they also said, they ended on episode 100. That's a really round number. They kind of tied up a lot of different loose ends with the stories. And then even if they don't continue being the elite, they have other creative ideas going forward that they can kind of explore. So, they talked about that amongst other things like All In and, just kind of the wrestling industry in general. So if you get a chance, you should really check out that article. Aside from that, also, this was kind of funny. A couple different WWE related things this past week that I thought were really funny. Did you see when WWE was tweeting out about Sanity?
Yes, and they said that chaos is coming, And then you had a response from, I think Jay White was like, "We are?" And then Okada was like, "No, we're not. Like, we're in Japan."
Okada's like, "We're in Japan." And I think Will Ospreay said something too. So, if you follow those guys on Twitter, I thought that was pretty funny that they were responding to all the WWE guys. Also, I think it was this past Monday. Maybe I could be wrong because I don't watch Raw. But did you see that Corey Graves mentioned the Bullet Club live?
Yeah, because they have the Balor Club and the OG Balor Club, and the whole Finn's like new catchphrase like Balor Club's for everyone, and Graves like botched and said Bullet Club is for everyone.
The Bullet Club is for everyone, and I
can only imagine the Vince and the headset. God damn! What are you doing, pal?
Oh, it's so funny, dude. I saw the clip of it. Someone posted on Reddit, and I was like, did he really say that? And then he tweeted Finn Balor later. He's like, Finn, you are wildly popular, and you need to stop creating so many different clubs. It's hard to keep track of them. So that was pretty funny. That's going to do it for the WWE portion of our news segments.
Yeah.
How about an update on that fight that happened in Ring of Honor? So we were kind of we heard about a backstage fight that happened in Ring of Honor and different people tweeting about it. Well, apparently more details have come out about this from Wrestling Observer this past week, and they mentioned that the person that was involved in this was Flip Gordon.
Flip Gordon, our boy that we were chilling with at the WrestleMania after party.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. We actually did. We should have made him do a drop for the show.
Yeah, we should.
It's too loud in there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you kind of like you read that. What was kind of the situation? How to go down?
So pretty much, I guess there was somebody that was sitting in Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels' chair. Mm-hmm. That person was asked to get up. That said person didn't want to get up, and I guess that started some issues. And I guess that person, maybe started throwing blows, and then Flip Gordon stepped up to the plate and shot on that man, took him down.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that, if you think about Flip Gordon, not only is he a great wrestler, but he also he also is he's in the military, right? He's in the Army.
Yeah.
He's got real world like combat training. He has MMA experience as well as far as his training. And I think he's a combat vet as well. So this is not a dude that you want to like.
You think Flip Gordon this goofy dude, a flat earther, this does all these flips. Like, no, this guy is legit. Like, he will jack you up.
Yeah. So that's not really like the right guy that you'd want to mess with when it comes to getting into a fight. But apparently no one got hurt from what the report says. Just someone was taken down and it was pretty much ended as quickly as possible. But yeah, I mean, Flip Gordon was the guy involved in it. Now, I did see that, and I don't want to cause ruffles or anything, but, they were saying that there's people who were kind of upset about the fight even happening. So I'm wondering, I don't know if, I didn't hear that there's any, heat on Flip for being involved in that.
Right. I don't think there was heat on Flip. I think the heat was all on whoever that person was that started this whole thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting. So, I mean, and it was funny because, Cody actually made a joke about it and said that he might book Flip on All In
now. Yeah.
So aside from that, in other news, we have All In is going to be holding a press conference on May 13th in Chicago. I can't remember the exact number, but they actually, if you guys might want to check this out online, if you are in the Chicago area, they said, I think it's something like the first 50 fans that arrive at the door will actually be allowed to come into the press conference for
right. I thought it was maybe more to close to 100, but maybe I could be wrong. Maybe it is 50. I'm not.
I don't remember.
I'm not 100% sure.
I didn't take note of that, but they will be streaming the press conference here shortly. So May 13th is actually just a few weeks away. So yeah. I think that's going to be interesting. It'll give us some more insight to what to expect from that event and everything that's going on with it. How about this? We alluded to this earlier in the show, but Davey Boy Smith Jr. is now wanted in.
So you're right. First 50 fans.
First 50, okay. Yeah. In New Orleans for simple battery against Jake the Snake Roberts. So we talked about this incident last week. and we kind of just skimmed over it. Like, you know, there was an incident.
Right.
They had beef. David Boy Smith
threw coffee on
him, and then that was it. And we were like, I don't know if it's going to be taken seriously or if it's one of those things between the boys. Well, apparently
it's not.
It's being taken seriously.
Right. It's in the wrong place. You know, New Orleans had the commission out there. You know, they want no pile drivers and they want no coffee thrown in legends' faces. So
yeah, apparently. So they have they want to bring him in for questioning. I don't know if there's an official warrant, but they said he is wanted for simple battery. It doesn't help that he did an entire interview with WrestleZone this past week, and before, you know, the fact that he was wanted came out, and basically admitted to the entire thing and detailed in painstaking detail everything that happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that may or may not affect him. I'm gonna guess, and I could be wrong, but I'm gonna guess this is something that just gets dealt with, because I don't know how serious it really is. They did say that there was no injuries that were caused to Jake Roberts or any fans in the area, so there is that. But they're calling it simple battery, and they want him for it. And man's hot. In other news this week, we've got the New Japan Free Match of the Week. Minoru Suzuki versus Tetsuya Naito from the G1 Climax 23. This was from 2013. So if you're not familiar with these two guys going one-on-one, that's a really good match that you should probably check out. You know, kind of preempt yourself and get ready
get your palate
cleansed.
Get you ready, get you appetized for this upcoming IC title match.
Aside from that as well, on Access TV, we've got the Access TV schedule for what's been coming up. So this month they've been covering the New Japan Cup that happened back in March. This Friday, April 27th, they will be covering some of the A Cup as Tanahashi takes on Juice Robinson and Zack Sabre Jr. takes on Sonata. And then on May 4th, they will be covering the finals with Tanahashi versus Zack Sabre Jr. I might have got the blocks wrong, but they're going to be covering the semifinals, Tanahashi and Juice, and then Zack Sabre Jr. and Sonata. And then May 4th, they will be covering Tanahashi versus Zack Sabre Jr. On May 11th, they will be doing a 3-part episode. It's going to run for 3 hours, a viewing of Sakura Genesis from 2018. So lots of big things coming up with Access. If you have Access, you'll want to check those out. Set your DVRs, make sure you catch those. Another thing that was really interesting, I don't know if you saw this. I guess I did. There is one other WWE related thing. So WWE has this new series called WWE Chronicle.
Yeah, actually, Rich and I watched it in New Orleans before.
Where was I?
You were at... Where were you?
One of the 13 shows I went to?
Yeah. you were at Progress.
Okay. Oh, that was Saturday morning?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I thought it was very interesting. They asked Nakamura about his history with New Japan as far as like being the youngest IWGP champion of all time and also being the king of strong style and what that means. And he kind of gave some insight to that. What was he saying there, Jeremy?
So pretty much he was saying like, you know, everybody thinks strong style is like all about hard hitting, like, you know, big strikes and hard hitting, but he's like there's more to strong style. I
think he was saying it was like the philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, like the philosophy and the art of what the
art
do.
Form, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's really interesting.
And he mentioned somebody who was like one of the founding fathers of like the strong style.
Carl Gotch?
Yeah. I think he mentioned like Carl Gotch. I think there was like another like Japanese wrestler that he mentioned also.
Inoki?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he mentioned both of those guys and he was talking about like how strong style was formed, like the real meaning behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I don't know if that's what on the WWE Network.
No, it was on WWE.com.
Oh, even better. So you don't have to give them your $9. You can just go right on WWE.com, watch the WWE Chronicle, and listen to Nakamura explain strong style. He also talked about being the youngest IWGP champion in history, and he said that when he was the champion, he wasn't ready for the title.
Yeah.
And he said the weight of the crown was too heavy, that he just, like, when he was the champion, he just felt, like, overwhelmed, basically, by having to carry the responsibility of being the main guy in the company when he hadn't even found himself as a performer yet.
Right.
So that if you're a Nakamura fan, very, very interesting stuff. Worth going out of your way to check it out. Some other news. So we've got some show details, different shows coming up, and really good stuff. Dominion tickets are now available. If you go to Lawson Tickets, you can actually get tickets online. The website is in Japanese. There's a link to Lawson Tickets on the New Japan Reddit. You can find it there. Also, if you go to njpw1972.com and you go to the news section, they have an article up about e-tickets that are available to overseas fans in America, the UK, Australia, and abroad. And there's a limited number of these specific tickets that you can actually get by going to the New Japan website and clicking the E Plus link, and you can get your overseas tickets. They will sell out quickly, I guarantee you.
So are we going to Dominion?
We're not going to Dominion.
God dang it.
I don't have time to go to Dominion. I wish I could go to Dominion, but we're not going to be able to do that. Some other show news. So War of the Worlds is coming up here in May for Ring of Honor. And there have been a few different... Now, there's going to be more New Japan talent announced for this, but officially this week, we've got announcements that all 5 members of
LIJ, Switchblade Jay White.
Yep. All 3 members of Roppongi 3K and Jushin Thunder Liger will be on that tour for War of the Worlds. So, make sure if you don't have it, it'd be a really good idea to get your Honor Club.
Yeah.
That way you can kind of catch all these guys. And I mean, it's a great deal for how many free shows you're getting.
And one of the highlights from last year's War of the Worlds, they had a 5-on-5 LIJ versus Bullet Club match.
Yeah, that match was
really good.
Yep.
So yeah, these War of the World tours are always really good.
Some other news, they've got the Honor United tour coming up also in May. This is the tour that's going to be, held by New Japan, by Ring of Honor overseas in conjunction with Rev Pro as well as New Japan. And they officially announced today a couple different members of the New Japan roster that will be there. So Hiroshi Tanahashi is confirmed, Evil and Sonata are officially confirmed, and Toru Yano. That's in addition to some of the shared talent like Cody, the Young Bucks, Jay Lethal, Adam Page, and then Ring of Honor talent Bully Ray, The Kingdom, Punishment Martinez, Kenny King, and Shane Taylor are also confirmed for the Honor United tour in conjunction with Rev Pro. So that's pretty exciting.
I'm sure Ishii will be announced being the champ.
We also have news. The CEO ex New Japan Pro Wrestling show that's going to be happening here in Florida in Daytona.
Yeah.
Those tickets are going on sale the first part of May. So if you live in
we have to get those tickets.
We're going to try to finesse our way into that show, but if you are in the Florida area and you're listening to the show, or you're just in the general area like Florida, or like Georgia, Alabama,
dude, it's worth it.
East Coast, you might want to try to get those tickets. They're going to be coming out very, very shortly. One other piece of news, this is very, very exciting. So there was a poster that leaked today for Best of the Super Juniors, and it was tweeted out by none other than Flip Gordon, who's been in the news a lot today. And there's different people that are officially confirmed for this, for Best of the Super Juniors, and this is not the whole field, but Taguchi will be on it. Tiger Mask's going to be involved. Bushi, Kushida, Will Ospreay, Hiromu Takahashi, Sho and Yo, Desperado, Kanemaru, Marty Scurll, and Flip Gordon. We've kind of been guessing if now they haven't made any official announcements about who's in the tour, but this is an official leaked poster, and Flip tweeted it out, and he made the official announcement that he is definitely signed to be part of the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. So we are super excited. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about this. I've become a big Flip Gordon fan, and then we kind of even before he was in Honor Rising tour, we were like, man, it'd be great for Flip to be in Best of Super Juniors. I think we're really impressed by his match with Hangman at Lakeland a few months ago. And so, yeah, I mean, and talking to him at the after party, he's a really cool dude. And, he said his goal was to be in Best of Super Juniors. Maybe he knew then and he was just working us, but
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm sure he knew.
Yeah, he was working us, simple marks. But I'm happy that he's in the tournament. I think he's going to put in some really good matches, and I think he's going to be one of the highlights of this thing.
Yeah. So another guy that was on the poster and that was announced for this, but his status is in question, is Dragon Lee. That's another guy that we had assumed was going to be in it, but
yeah.
I don't know if have you seen the clip of his injury?
No, you told me about it.
Ooh, it looks bad, bro. Yeah. It looks bad. So yeah, he was in Arena Mexico on Friday night doing Dragon Lee stuff, being awesome like he always is. And he started to do one of those spots where he hits the ropes and he's going to set up for a tope or a dive outside. And right in the middle of the ring while he's running, he just falls over, starts clutching the back of his leg. The way he fell looked very, very bad. It wasn't a wrestling accident.
It wasn't a work.
It wasn't a work. No, it wasn't a storyline, and it wasn't in the middle of a maneuver. It was just him running. So I don't know if maybe this was an aggravated injury or something that came back. But to me, some people think it's like his ACL or his knee. It did not look like that to me. What it looked like to me, and I could be wrong here, but I've seen that a lot of guys do this. It looked like a torn quad. It looked like a quad tear if I've ever seen one. I mean, it could be
Kevin Nash.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. The way he fell over, it just looked like the quad just tore. They did have to come and cart him out, so he went out on a stretcher. So I mean, he didn't even walk out, and it seems to be pretty serious. So depending on the severity of the injury, his status for Best of the Super Juniors is in question. I'd assume they'd probably bring someone else in from CMLL in his stead.
Maybe Teton.
Angel De Oro. There's a lot of guys out there that they could bring in. But we hope Dragon Lee gets better. Unfortunately, we have other... it looks like the injury fairy's been hitting people. So... everybody's favorite young boy, Yagi.
Yeah,
that's
Yagi's
a hyperbole.
Hurt, yeah.
He's not everyone's favorite.
Well, one of our favorites.
Well, we like them all. But Yagi has been injured with a fractured right ulna. Do you know what an ulna is?
No.
I don't either. This is why we need a producer for our show, man. Oh my God. I don't know what an ulna is. I'm going to look it up right now. So... he fractured his right ulna, which is a thinner and longer of the two bones in the human forearm.
Oh, from all them hard-ass forearm shots he be giving.
Probably. Yeah, so he fractured a bone in his right forearm, and he is off every single show until May 6th, officially. But according to the reports I've been reading, this usually results in 3 to 6 months out, minimum. So unfortunately, Yagi is down, as well as Dragon Lee. While we're on the subject, I don't want to gloss over it. One guy that had been on one of the early posters for Best of the Super Juniors was Oka.
Oh, actually, somebody tweeted us about that poster.
What did they say?
Said it wasn't about Best of Super Juniors. Let me pull that up real quick.
Oh, really?
That was from Tokyo Wrestling Fan. Let me see what he said here. He said also the poster that Kushida tweeted for Best of Super Juniors with Oka on it was advertising for a show in his home prefecture. So presumably it's a one-off and he isn't dropping to junior heavyweight.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's dropping or rising. I don't think they've really defined where he is. Although I guess you could make the argument he probably is a heavyweight. I mean, he's small enough to be a junior. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see where he ends up.
And also scrolling through here, I have another news on All In. There were 3 more names confirmed today for All In.
Today?
Yep.
Where are you getting this?
On Cage Side Seats.
Oh wow. Who's yeah, this is breaking news to me.
Chelsea Green.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes. Penelope Ford.
Okay.
And the bad boy, Joey Janela.
Are you kidding me? This is the biggest indie show in history.
And then they said Okada, Omega, Rhodes, Bucks, Villain, Hangman, Blanchard, Amel, Penta, Phoenix, Deanna, Janela, Penelope, Chelsea. More this Wednesday.
One thing I didn't get to talk about, and we overlooked this when we talked about our Mania show, was that we actually got to go see the great Sasuke wrestle Joey Janela at Spring Break this past year.
Yeah.
Which I've got my thoughts on that show, but there was a moment I actually had with Joey Janela when
at the after party. Yeah, didn't he like hug you at the after party?
Yeah, bro, we hugged. We had a moment. Bro, we had a moment because like he came up to me and like we were just talking and like we were both in a different state of mind. It was like late. What was like 3 a.m. or something?
Yeah, man.
And
y'all were in an altered state.
But I got to tell him that like I appreciated him being able to bring Sasuke to the States, and like I'm probably never. When am I ever going to get to see the great Sasuke wrestle ever like live? And I was like, dude, that's because of you, like what you're doing for the business, like. And he was like, bro, you have no idea how much that means to me. And like I was like, all right, Joey Janela, and we hugged like right there in the middle of that freaking club, and then like were you and Rich watching us when that happened?
No, I don't know. I didn't see that.
You guys didn't see it?
You came back to us and you were like, dude, I just hugged Joey Janela.
Yeah, bro. Well, because like I started like giving him a handshake and he like hugged me, bro, like hard, like.
Well, that man, like you were at one state, Joey was in a completely another. That man was gone.
But I part of me thinks he really did appreciate my words.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, we got to see great Sasuke. I don't even know how we forgot to cover that on that episode. We're keeping it strong style. We didn't talk about like former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, former like.
Yeah, but like we mentioned, that show was kind of like on the fly. We wanted to get something in the can.
Yeah.
So
anyway, it's funny you brought up Joey Janela, so that's hilarious. Yeah, I gotta be it all in. I gotta be it all in.
We don't gotta be it all in. We are gonna be it all in.
So, some other news. So this is kind of some unfortunate stuff. So Vader actually tweeted out and said that he's having a lot of pain and still going through issues and asking for prayers from the fans. And so if you guys can keep them in your thoughts, we'll keep you posted on that situation. Hopefully everything turns out okay. We've been hearing positive things. Now it's starting to look like maybe it's starting to, not hopefully, but that it might be taking a turn for the worse. So we'll keep you posted, but keep your thoughts and your prayers with Vader. One of the greatest champions our sport's ever seen, and just a great guy all around. And so hopefully he pulls through this, and we want to see him continue on. Also, big news, in the wrestling world, which kind of covers all gamut. So Bruno Sammartino, one of the pioneers of pro wrestling, passed away this past week.
Yep.
The age of 78?
I believe so, yeah.
So, Bruno Sammartino, one of the biggest stars in history, 11 years WWF champion, international star. It is worth noting that they actually paid a tribute to him earlier this past week. So, the independent wrestling company Tradition, they're actually hosting a tour right now called the Back to New York tour, and they've got like Bob Backlund's on this tour, and Ricky Choshu's still wrestling, and Yoshiaki Fujiwara and Shiro Koshinaka, Cobra. So a lot of these like old Masakatsu Funaki, Hiro Saito, and then even Fujinami's on the tour. So a lot of like legends and guys that wrestled in like Madison Square Garden and for New Japan, especially like Cobra and Bob Backlund specifically. And they're actually building towards a match with Bob Backlund and Fujinami on this tour. Well, the other day after the news had broke out about, the passing of Bruno, they actually paid a 10 bell tribute and salute to him. And Bob Backlund and Ricky Choshu stood in the middle of the ring, just the two of them, and kind of paid tribute to him. So that was like a fitting tribute. I think you can actually find that on YouTube, or it was on Reddit as well. So, our thoughts and prayers go out to Bruno Sammartino's family. Unfortunate news. As well, there was even more shocking news. So, Matoku Baba, who is the
wife of...
she was the wife of...
Giant Baba,
Shoei Baba. She has passed away this week as well. And it is worth noting that like Bruno was, even though he never wrestled in New Japan, he was deeply tied to the like legitimacy of the Triple Crown Championship and to the success of All Japan in their infant years when he wrestled Giant Baba. So like he actually like came over and kind of like he actually put over Baba, I believe, or maybe I think they wrestled twice. They wrestled to a draw, and then I think he put over Baba in the rematch, which was a very, 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 very big deal at the time. And so he's part of the success of All Japan, which like has rippling effects to where Pro Resu is now. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Miss Baba. So she there's different like aspects to her character and her life. From a professional standpoint, there were people that used to call her the Dragon Lady because she had such a strict demeanor.
Yeah, if you listen to Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave and Brian, they were actually talking about Miss Baba on their latest episode that aired over the weekend, and Dave was talking about her giving him a hard time.
Dave Meltzer?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of wrestlers who have not gotten along with her professionally, but it's been understood throughout history that's just professional, and in no way like a reflection on who she was like as a person or anything. And
right.
She is fundamental to the success that All Japan had as a company from the very infancy of it, from the 70s all the way to its like giant boom period in the 90s. They actually had a period in the 90s where they did over 200 sellout shows in Tokyo, which is just like incredible when they were booming. And her and Baba were very much a partnership running that company. And she even like after his passing, she continued to run it until the time where it was sold off to the group that was, led by Kiji Muto. But with that being said, it can't be stated enough the contributions that she made as part of the wrestling community and wrestling history. And she's greatly mourned in Japan right now, as I'm sure Bruno is as well. So, our thoughts and prayers go out to these families. And we just want to kind of remember them. On a lighter note, and this is the last piece of news I have to cover. So today is April 24th. So we will be seeing the debut of a new wrestling theme for Suzuki-gun called Suzuki-gun Ichiban.
Nice.
We don't know what it is. There was a promo picture from the tweet that Minoru Suzuki sent out, and it had all of Suzuki-gun standing there looking like Mafia like Backstreet Boys. They looked like they're like part of the like Yakuza. Super dope, but they looked like the coolest band that you've never heard of, like underground in Japan. I don't know what to expect, but I guess Suzuki-gun is getting their own like
theme
for everybody.
That's fine as long as Suzuki still comes out the Kasne ni Nore.
Yeah, I don't want his music to go away, but I think that's a cool idea. So that is gonna wrap it up for the news this week. Any final thoughts?
No, I think that pretty much wraps the show up. Another great show. I mean, next week we'll be back and we'll be reviewing all these shows, a lot of the Road 2 shows.
Road 2 shows, as well as, I don't know, based on the timing, maybe Kuni?
I think that's going to be afterwards, I think.
So we'll cover the Road 2 shows this next episode, and then the episode after that we're doing Dontaku's and Hi No Kuni?
Yeah.
Wow, that's going to be a stacked show.
Yeah, so, stay tuned to the show.
I want to give a shout out. I know that this is unrelated to our show, but if you are, and we're going to give our plugs to the Social Suplex Network like we always do, but if you get a chance, you need to check out my man Rich Latta's latest episode of One Nation Live.
Yeah, he has the One Nation Radio, the exclusive interview with the Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Champion Troy Hollywood.
Great interview. It's 1 hour if you got time to listen to it. Troy Hollywood is a guy that you want to look out for. He's probably going to be someone that like makes a name for himself in this business, and this is an opportunity for you to kind of get some insight into his career early on. This guy had me dying.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He was trained by Jay Lethal here in Tampa. So yeah,
I just, like, I'm not gonna pimp it if I don't think it was good. If I listened to that interview and I just thought it was whatever, I wouldn't be like, I would just like I'd be like, hey, good job, Rich, and then I wouldn't say anything on the air here. But I'm telling you guys, it was one of the better interview segments I've ever heard. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, so make sure you check that out, and you can give us the plugs, Jeremy.
Yeah, so you can follow us on social media. On Twitter, the show is at KI Strong Style. The big brand, our parent brand, Social Suplex, at Social Suplex. I'm on Twitter at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/Social Suplex. We also have our exclusive membership group that you can join, the Wrestling Squared Circle on Facebook, facebook.com/group/Wrestling Squared Circle. We're also on Reddit. I am the Pro Black Guy. Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. And make sure you subscribe to the Social Suplex Podcast Network. You get our show and all the other shows, including One Nation Radio and One Nation Live, hosted by Rich Latta. We also have the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, the boys from Scotland. We also have the Outsider's Edge with Rance and Carl. Making its debut, I believe, sometime this week. We have the Wrestling Wash with Bathtub Caleb Baldwin. He's covering Ring of Honor and Impact. I believe he'll be covering the Impact Redemption pay-per-view. So if you're a Ring of Honor Impact fan, you're going to want to check out the Wrestling Wash. Also, we're in the talks to having some independent show coverage coming on the network. So stay tuned to that. And make sure you leave us a rating and review. Help us get over. So until next time, goodbye and good night. Bang.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.